right. What up, people? Hope you all are well. Trying to get it in today. Y'all know what it is. Welcome back to the Onyx Report, Black Masculinist News. But this one is not for the day. This is my weekly live. And y'all know what we do here, right? We as Black male justice advocates uplift Black men and boys using critical analysis. Mr. Tendaji, what's going on, man? Good to see you. Been seeing you on LinkedIn. I haven't been seeing you up here, man. Good to see you. Brother, I'm listening. What's up? We're going to give people some time to fall in. And then we're going to start rather quick. My special guest and we're about to get into it. And I will be inviting people up later in the show. Okay. So, if you're interested in participating, please make sure you are doing so. All right. First and foremost, I want to start. What's up, Ian? What's up, JJ? BGS? What's going on, man? Maybe. We're going to see. Well, Mark, what's happening? So, first, I like to start by thanking my subscribers. So let me go ahead and do that. That's what's up. Appreciate all of you who support the show. If that is not something you have started to do yet, I hope you will reconsider. Like the video as you come in, share, subscribe, join the channel, and donate. You can also go to patreon.com. You can support the Onyx Report there with a monthly contribution, or you can also support the Institute for Black Male Studies through Patreon as well. So I hope you will support both so we can keep these things going. And know that right here on YouTube, there are membership options with different levels of membership that you can participate in. Just click the join button right next to the subscribe. And I hope you have subscribed and hit the bell. Trying to get some of these numbers up, and they're starting to drag. So working on trying to get the algorithm to work with me and for me rather than against me. So support the show. Hi, Scholar, what's going on? Hybrid Ninja, what's happening? Ian, I always appreciate your contributions and support. Thank you. Lee's Ways, what's going on? We're not gonna play around a lot with a lot of foreground because we're gonna jump right in. I am going to welcome up a brother who's been on my show before, but it's been a little while. You all may know him as Hood Scholar. But he has been a longtime activist, been very engaging as far as what's been going on. I'm going to let him kind of introduce himself and give us a little background on how he got started and who he is. And of course, we have to get into the main topic, which I think all of you are pretty much primed for. And I think you've been thinking about talking about in general, the media's script on Black men. And we're seeing a resurgence going on right about now, a reinvestment in these very old ideas about Black male savagery and primitivity. So we're going to get into it without any further ado. Let me bring up Brother Hood Scholar. What's up?
What's up? What's up, bro?
You, man, how you doing?
Hey, I'm alive, man. I'm alive. I'm here, grinding, organizing, working, trying to get our people free.
That's real talk. So tell us a little bit, or reintroduce the audience to you, how you came into doing this work, and what it is your work is these days.
Yeah, shout out to Iat TV for that big donation. That was huge, bro. I saw that. I was like 50. Whoa. Yeah, bro. But that's me, man. I'm just a regular old dude, man. It's funny because I was talking to my homie. It was like we really are. Like I'm talking about homies, like we know so many people who end up either in prison or in the grave. And y'all, like I'm really fortunate just to be here because that's not me. My quick story is I go by hood scholar because I'm a hood dude. So like I'm a regular old dude, I'm a hood dude, and I actually got a PhD. So a scholar from the hood.
There
That's
it
me.
is.
I guess other thing, just because it can be pertinent to the conversation, just to be clear, all that I'm sharing is not about me, more so as what I represent and the people I represent. But I'm also a married man. I have a wife, a black wife, and 3 children. I have 2 daughters and a son.
Woo.
So like, yo, they are pulling up. Yo, appreciate y'all. Yeah, I got a black wife and 2 black daughters and a black son. So like these things that we talk about mean a lot.
Yeah, real talk. Real talk. So, what got you into doing this work? How did that process start for you? And tell us a little more about what you do.
Yeah, so let's go. Actually, let's go back to grad school, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I'm sorry. You talking about the work overall? What we focusing on?
The work overall.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, the work overall is my upbringing, right? So shout out to my mom. My mom, unfortunately, got divorced when I was 2, and she was like, she didn't want me. So we ended up living in the hood. So she's a single mom raising my brother and I, and she didn't want me to basically end up running the streets. So she started this organization called Youth Outreach Services. So 6 years old, I was already outside. We was already doing the traditional community cookouts, building with the community. But from there, so I basically been in this ever since I was 6. So just some things just to talk about my community work background. Been going into juvenile detention centers since I was a teenager. Been working with quote unquote what they call at-risk teams.
Right.
Actually, 80% success rate with teenage males who were supposed to go into the detention center or jail, but they came and worked with the organization I was in. Right. And instead of going to jail, they actually worked with us and got back on their feet. And yeah, so that's the thing. Like this stuff, like I've seen the work, I've seen people's lives change. I know people who were about to go to jail, work with. I know people who was homeless. I know dude who was homeless who was grabbing the strap about to kill somebody. Work with him now. He actually back in New York, living and thriving, and not locked up and all that. So been outside, been in the streets, been in the community, and then more recently, I used to be a BLM organizer, so I used to organize for Black Lives Matter, which is pertinent to the discussion. And now I'm the director of Black Revolutionary Education for the International Black Freedom Alliance, where we believe that Black people are smart enough, talented enough, and
we lost the sound, bro.
Test.
Actually, wait, we lost a few things. Okay, wait a minute. I think can say something.
Test.
Okay, I can hear you. I didn't know if it was just me because everything dropped out for a minute. I don't know if it was just me or if everybody could still hear you. Okay, they say you can hear. Okay, so maybe it was just my system.
Okay,
which ain't any better, really. But go ahead.
Oh, dang. He said that sound good.
Okay, go ahead.
Thanks, Donnie. Yeah, just that the IBFA believe that Black people are smart enough, talented enough, and got the skills and tools necessary to get us free. So that's my quick background and what got us to where we are now. So you still can't hear me? I can't hear you now. That's strange. Once I said the IBFA and organizer, and he was like, yo, every time I talk, man, I always have technical issues. Hybrid Ninja, you remember when I was in the space, in the Twitter space, I had technical issues. Oh, it says, Doc, your volume is off.
Okay.
All right.
Now this is look. I'm just gonna tell everybody. Whenever this brother and I even get on the phone, we have all kind of problems. We recorded a whole interview. Can you hear me? Okay. Can you hear me? Okay.
Yeah, I can hear you good.
Okay. I did an interview with him for the Institute for Black Male Studies, and I never got to publish it because the sound disruption was so bad, worse than any other person I had interviewed. And this happened the other day too, just kind of leading up to this. So whenever we get together, there's always some kind of issue. And this time it was clearly on my system, but I've never seen it do that before. Never, never.
Bro, this happened to me. I was in a Twitter space with Torrin, and I would just randomly just get dropped out.
Yeah, man. This is ridiculous. Yeah. So anyway, I apologize to the audience. Hopefully we won't have too many more of these, but we all have to just, roll with it. But so I think you were dealing with graduate school, right?
Yeah, I was just talking about my personal life and what had got us to where we are now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And somebody actually asked, so yeah, let's pick up there. They asked when my PhD was in. So I actually went to the College of Women Married. The crazy story, and this is not about me, but like while I was there, I ended up being, based on the measurements of a graduate student, one of the top graduate students.
Okay.
At the university. So for those who don't know, I'm guessing everybody heard of William and Mary, right? You think so? Or
well, probably not, but go ahead.
Yeah. It's like a top 35 school.
Mm-hmm.
And my PhD was in American Studies, and my focus was on Black people, right? So I used whatever my dissertation actually was on Magruder during World War II. The Navy dispossessed. Nice. Appreciate you, MLR.
Shout out to MLR. Appreciate that.
The Navy dispossessed predominantly Black families, and whenever they created military bases. A lot of people don't know that story, which of course is a part of the plan, right? They do it, they don't tell nobody. So that's what my dissertation was on. Okay. But for today's conversation, let's go back to my time in grad school, right? So when I first got into grad school, like just because of my background, I'm a hood dude, like I just look for all the Black stuff. Okay. And now pay attention to this. Remember, I'm saying I'm looking for the Black stuff, and guess what I end up getting pushed into? Okay. Black feminism.
Right.
So when I took Black classes, and when I took classes about Black people, when I went to the conferences, when I heard presentations, it was Black feminism. And the thing is, and let me be clear, right? Some of it wasn't overtly Black feminist thought or Black feminist thinking. Some of it was, right? If you took a queer theory class, then you're gonna be interacting with that. Yeah. But some of it, and you gotta think about it. So my program is in American Studies. American Studies is an interdisciplinary program. Right. So I'm reading and interacting with multiple disciplines, English, history, etc. Right. So as I engage with these multiple disciplines, I'm interacting with feminism and then Black feminism. Okay. So this is important because it's like as I'm reflecting on it, what I'm seeing is happening even in higher education. Even Black feminism is being pushed for Blackness.
Yes. Yes.
Even so much so it's like we already saw how they're cutting departments, right? And what departments are taking a hit? The Africana Studies, the African American Studies departments, right? But there are two things I want to highlight from grad school. One, because of that, you can really say that in a sense, I was a Black feminist. Yeah. Matter of fact, if you go back and look at some of my posts from in grad school, I'm talking about privilege. I'm talking about LGBTQI issues. And let me be clear, right? It's not that talking about these things in and of itself is a problem. But whenever I was talking about LGBTQIA issues, they were mainly white.
Wow. Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? It wasn't like, and it's crazy, like, because remember, so the other thing, in 2014, after the Mike Brown killing, that's when I started organize with Black Lives Matter.
Okay.
And as I was organized, so I'm organizing Black Lives Matter. I'm working with queer folks, and we actually had a pride rally parade or whatever on campus.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, yo, this is white. We need space for Black queer folks.
Okay. Okay.
And so I literally was fighting. Of course, they want to try to hear me because you know I'm a cis het, right? I'm a cisgender Black male. But I'm like, and even that, and even even moving forward for our Black queer folks, the problem with this framing and thinking is that it's white.
Wow. Yeah.
And this is what Dave Chappelle was talking about, which we would get to later, right?
Right.
So
you start talking about punching down. Who we talking about? And Dave laid the power dynamic out. But I can tell you, I had the same. I had the same experience in graduate school. Where even if you weren't taking courses that were overtly Black feminist, you could take a lit course or something else, and they would turn it into that. And so that was a period where I identified as a Black feminist myself. I thought that's what, because they gave you this kind of intuitive narrative about women's oppression, and you just go, well, I was raised by a single mother, and I saw all the movies that highlighted how bad women had it, and so women are the most oppressed, and Black women are the most oppressed in terms of race, class, and gender. Okay, that was just but yeah, so I can understand what you're talking about. But go ahead.
So with that, right? So I remember this class I took, it was coming out of history. It was called Race, History, and Theory.
Mm-hmm.
And guess what we were reading? Kimberly Kershaw's Intersectionality.
Yep.
Right?
It was almost like a religion.
Exactly, bro. So then, and I'm saying this to say that I know the literature, which is kind of crazy because they would say that y'all not reading this stuff. That's all I was reading in graduate school.
Yeah, and we were reading it in undergrad too.
Wow. So that's the thing. I actually was a religion major. So I was getting more into like womanist theology instead of Black feminism per se.
Right.
Yeah.
I was in the National Council for Black Studies, so womanism was big in there, and that's where we got womanism in. So yeah, I'm with you.
So what ends up happening, right? So when we eventually begin to talk about this, I'm not talking about this as an outsider, right? I'm talking about this as someone who was fully entrenched in, who was hashtag believe Black women, hashtag rape culture. I was there, bro. I was there. But a couple of things happened, right? One, I had a Black women professor do me dirty. I don't want it because people will be able to figure out who she is because of the people who follow me. So I don't want to get into details, right?
Right.
But I had a Black woman professor to do me dirty. So I'm like, hold on. Based on the way Black feminism is set up, there was no space for me to be the victim to a Black woman.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying? I'm like, so that's where things was like, this is kind of weird. Then I go to this conference. Like, remember I told you I'm at this conference, and I'm like, that's when I started, and I'm like, things aren't adding up, and I'm thinking about like privilege and stuff. And I'm at this conference, and at this time, like the hood I'm from, my homie was still locked up.
All right, appreciate that support, Harold.
Yeah, thanks, Harold. So like my homie locked up, and I'm like, all right, so they're saying that Black men have either access to privilege or because of this patriarchal society and there's privilege. So I'm like, and I asked this woman point blank in the conference, I said, well, what about my homie who's locked up right now? What type of privilege does he have? And she said, and this is the one that rocked me. She said that he will have privilege when he get out.
Wait, what? See, you know anything about what happens with Black men when they get out of prison? Ain't nothing about that privilege. Nothing.
Bruh. That for me was like, I can't do this anymore. Right? And so I tried, I was being flexible, I was bending, I tried to do everything possible to make myself fit into this.
Right. Right.
But you telling me my homie, who I grew up with, like this was my mains man's, right? In my
Mhm.
hood, it was 3 of us and my cousin.
Okay.
And like we literally did everything together, right? And this was my man. He's locked up. And you're telling me that he has privilege when he gets out? It's like it was like she had to hold on to the fact that against that contrary to everything that's laid out in front of her,
Right.
there's
Right.
no way that something can actually be different.
And the irony of that is twofold. One, it was prison that really challenged me about what I
Mhm.
believed about black feminism as well. It was, for me, it was different
Wow.
though. It was actually seeing the numbers, because I had learned to talk.
I got you.
I'd learned the feminist talking points so well, but when I finally saw the raw numbers of people
Oh,
incarcerated by gender and race, I was like, wait a minute, what? You know what I mean? The numbers were so ridiculously small. Like just going back to your situation, this is the second part of what I meant by irony. She's talking about he's going to have privilege when he gets out. They literally don't even have prisons for women, black women included. They don't have the prisons. Women literally get 65% less sentencing for the same crimes as men if they were treated like men. And if black women were punished and sentenced like black men, they would not have the physical prisons to put them in. That's the
wow.
ultimate irony to me, to what she just said to you. He'll have privilege when he gets out. And she's saying that knowing that she'll never go to prison like that.
That's
Statistically speaking.
crazy.
You know what I mean? So it's ridiculous. But go ahead.
And that's not even to mention having a record, having a felony, voting
Right,
rights. It's like,
right, right,
like
right.
so that for me was like a moment that I still like. I can picture that event right now, even though this was several years ago. And I was like, yo, like this ain't adding up.
Mm,
So fast forward, I was already like, I get my first teaching position at VCU, which this is a story that they didn't want to get out, I guess. And you heard this before, but real quick, I'm teaching. Shout out to the big homie Curry. I have Curry the guest lecture.
right.
Um, he's guest lecturing, and this is the point. You heard Curry talk. The this week, so I'm teaching Africana social and political thought, right?
Okay.
So
Okay.
we're covering gender, right?
Hmm.
And of course, and this is the crazy thing. I literally was gonna the first time we're talking about black masculinity, then
Hmm.
this literally next class we're gonna be talking about black feminism. So
Right.
it wasn't like I wasn't talking about everything, I wasn't teaching everything. I literally, you can go back and look at my syllabus right now. The very next class we were gonna be talking about bell hooks.
Mm,
But so I have Carrie. Carrie was breaking it down. We're literally the majority of the conversation, like 90% of the conversation, is actually on black male vulnerability.
right.
Right. This was one of the best classes I had the whole semester. I had students staying back 30 minutes after the class talking about it. One of the big things that people that the students didn't realize was the fact that black men could be sexually assaulted.
Yes. Yeah.
Like believe like our thinking has been so colonized and so formed in such a way that we couldn't even imagine the possibility of black men being victims.
You know how they framed it. Where I was studying, it was framed as, well, black men typically aren't victimized because other black men are doing it. So black men are kind of a monolith, and if they violate each other or kill each other, it's all kind of,
Oh,
we don't even need to pay attention to it, because as long as they're doing it to themselves, we don't count it as victimization. And I remember having a conversation with Tommy about that one day, and he said, "Man, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if you've been raped or if you've been shot. It doesn't matter
doesn't matter.
if it came, whoever it came from, you still had those experiences. They count." And it was a trip, because I'd never heard anyone say that out loud before. The going thought was, as long as black men were going through this, it was not really to be paid much attention to. So
Which makes sense why when we're killed by the police, they bring up the black on black crime.
exactly, exactly. Even though every racial groups, the majority of their crimes are against each other. But anyway, yeah. So
So this class is fire, right?
Yeah.
Students stay back 30 minutes talking to Carrie.
Mm-hmm.
One student publicly said that her boyfriend,
Shout out to Malika.
yeah, appreciate that. Her boyfriend was actually sexually assaulted at a party. Somebody like grabbed his penis or whatever. After the class, she's reflecting. She's like, "Oh no, he was sexually assaulted." So I'm sorry, I didn't say that right. Her boyfriend went to a party, and some girl just grabbed his penis or whatever.
Yeah.
And after the class, she realized that he was sexually assaulted. And she I'm cool. She basically was texting him during the class. And they literally had that realization in my class that he was sexually assaulted.
Yeah.
So the class was powerful. It was literally liberating to so many young Black men who had no idea that these experiences that they had actually was assault.
Exactly. Yeah.
It went from that to this self-identified Black feminist emailing my chair saying that we was anti-Black women, we were anti-Black feminists, and anti-Black gay.
Yeah. Yeah.
She literally lied on Professor Carey, right? So remember, you know how Tommy breaks down how the social scientists in the 50s and 60s had this particular form of discourse that eventually is picked up by Black feminists.
Right.
He was explaining that because a student asked, well, where did these notions of hypermasculinity and toxic masculinity even come from?
Right.
Where they were white social sciences, right? So in his explanation of white social sciences, what she did, either intentionally or unintentionally, took the explanation and framed it as if that's what he was saying about Black women and about Black feminism.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, well, one, if higher education is supposed to challenge your thinking. So if you misunderstood him, just come and talk to me as your professor, right? But two, it seemed like it just like she really got challenged, and her mythology of her thinking of about Black men as toxic and as hyper and as beasts started to crumble.
Yeah.
So since that crumbled, now she needs to respond. So long story short, what ends up happening is this was not the only reason, but they eventually got rid of me from teaching.
Yeah.
And when they got rid of me from teaching, they used that as one of the complaints. And they said that, and get this, and this is going to help us transition. They said that I was unsafe to the students.
Man, I've had, now, first of all, shout out to the sharpshooters in the comment section. They ain't playing. Much appreciation. BGS, I always appreciate you for that. But I had the same experience, man. I was teaching on the side at Claremont Graduate University, where I went to school. I was teaching actually the Claremont colleges in their Africana Studies program, and I had Tommy come in. Shout out to MS Delta. Appreciate that support.
Yeah, appreciate that.
I had Tommy Zoom in a lecture, and I was telling him what was going on at the time. But there was a bit of a war happening. The class was going well. It was just an Africana Studies class. In the intro, what I do is I give them, it's almost like a sampler plate. I give them a sample of different aspects of the field because Africana is multidisciplinary. So,
right.
I let them sample what's going on in Africana Studies in terms of religion, what's going on in terms of
that's the same way I did it.
You just give them a sample so that they know, even if they're in a traditional field, there's still a whole wealth of resources in Africana Studies about their field that they're not going to get from their field. So we're doing that, and of course we get to gender. And so what I do is I start with feminism, Black feminism. Well, I do the history of going back to the suffragettes, and then I come forward and then I talk about Black feminism, and then I talk about womanism and Africana womanism. And then from there, I hadn't developed Black masculinism as of yet.
Yeah.
What I had at that point were just PowerPoint slides on statistics regarding Black men.
Gotcha.
Incarceration, cancer rates,
undeniable, bro.
Life expectancy.
It's so clear.
I just and here's what I did. So all I did is I put those on the screen, I just put them up. Class went apeshit. It was out of 30 people, 18 of them were black women. And they were fundamentally just livid that there was any attention paid to black men regarding the gender portion of the class.
So you did suffragist movement. You did the 3 waves of feminism. You talked about black feminism, womanism, Africana womanism, and then put stats on the board. And there's a problem.
They actually started having a problem with womanism because they never heard of it and they were only trained as feminists. So I got this my colleague Rondi Gaines, brilliant sister. I got her to zoom in a lecture, and matter of fact, her lecture and Tommy's lecture is actually on my YouTube page. You got to go back a ways, but I put both of those lectures up, right? So she talked about womanism, and the only reason they didn't rebel, listen to this, the only reason they didn't rebel against her was because she was a black woman.
Because she was a black woman.
If I would have talked about womanism, it would have been a rebellion. But because I knew it was going to happen. I put her up there. They were quiet. They didn't like her.
Yeah.
They didn't like what she had to say. They didn't agree, but they wouldn't respond in any negative way because she was a black woman. When I brought Tommy up, they tried.
Oh my gosh.
And I emphasize they tried. You can watch it in the video yourself, but he spanked them so well. Tommy is the type of person where, especially if he's dealing with undergrads, he's not going to treat them like graduate students. I've seen him deal with full-on scholars and graduate students. He'll put his foot in your ass. Yeah. But if he's dealing with undergrad students, he'll kind of spank you and change your diaper. You know what I mean? So by the time it was done, they were mad, but they couldn't be. And they were damn near saying thank you as they left while they
right.
But he just spanked them really, kind of smooth. And from there on out, they tried to get me fired.
Wow.
They straight tried to get me fired. And I had to actually threaten to sue the university to get the provost to back up off me because she was just going with the fact that a bunch of black women were upset at my
class. Didn't even investigate it, right? It's like just whatever they said that's what happened.
But she said the same thing that you said. Eventually, when they couldn't get the response they wanted, they started saying I was a threat.
I was a threat, right.
And I'm like, I wasn't a threat for, 3/4 of the class all the way through the semester. I said, what, was there any documented evidence that I said something, threatened somebody, even looked at anybody sideways? No. But all of a sudden I was a threat. And that had to do with the fact that I'm 6'2", 300 plus pounds.
Yeah.
I'm standing there with long locks and I'm, just talking about gender. But because I didn't prioritize, and I still kind of prioritize women and feminism by talking extensively about the background.
Bro, you gave them so much more. It's not like you spent like 2 or 3 classes on feminism and black feminism and womanism and Africana womanism, and 1 class on black men. It's a problem.
And here's the thing. I didn't even give them, look, I'm giving them, who the scholars are, who the people to read are in feminism and womanism. When I got to black men, I didn't know that stuff yet.
Right.
You know what I mean? So all I did was show statistics.
And this is exactly what I'm. And so look at how our 2 stories go together, right?
Yeah.
Because when I talk to the black woman professor, right? Y'all probably, if I say who she is, y'all would know her because she got book awards. She's very well prominent, right? When I talked to her, the facts did not matter. It's like whatever she believed,
right,
she had to hold on to.
Right.
So even though you're looking at, there's been a greatest increase in the population of prison in the world, right, from the 80s and 90s. Very few times in world history has there been one specific demographic, one specific group to go from maybe 300,000 to 1.2 million. That's undeniable. And then to say that population has privilege.
Yeah, man. Yeah. And if you're telling the class that the fact about these numbers, you're oppressing them. You're a threat to them because you said it. I definitely know what you've been through. I've been through it myself, man. Yeah.
So fast forward, right? So we shared that the setup to a couple of weeks ago. Lemieux writes this article on Dave Chappelle.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And let me set up something first. As a scholar of race, I noticed that if you go back to the development of race in the 18th century and 19th century, so go back to y'all might not know some of these names, but Comet, Buffoon, Gobineau, and then y'all would know Thomas Jefferson. What they would do is they would take, and shout out to Antoine Furman. He was this Haitian scholar, wrote like a 600-page book on equality, basically equality of human races, right? So Black scholars have been doing this for years. Right. He said this: they always take the worst example to create a whole theory about the whole group.
Sure.
So they'll take the worst example of a Black person, then to say that Black, and then based on that worst example, they'll say that Black people are this.
Right.
Let's take that same type of methodology, right? When I'm noticing with this Black feminist approach, they would take one Black man,
right,
and then say, based on the actions of that one Black man, say Black men are like this.
Yes.
So this is what happened with the Dave Chappelle piece, right? They took one thing, one action by Dave Chappelle, right? And then said, this is the way Black men are. Now, if you don't know who she is, her father was actually an agent, which is crazy, right? He was a spy who actually did infiltrate the Black Panther Party. So of course the apple don't fall too far from the tree. She calls the article, and she calls it the Black Ass Lie, which is problematic because the big Black Ass Lie is very similar to what somebody said already, propaganda from, listen to this, Nazi Germany, Hitler, who had the same type of framing of the big lie. So the actual literal white supremacists, she take that very same framing and puts it on Dave Chappelle, and then uses that and places it onto basically all Black men, right? And then what she does is she's also important because she's the same one who writes the foreword of Michelle Wallace's what was the name of it? Black Macho or whatever.
Black Macho and the Myth of the Superwoman. Yeah,
Black Macho. Well, they re-released that 25 years later, knowing that white women helped write it. It was pushed by a CIA agent, Gloria Steinem, and she's writing the foreword to it.
Yeah, and that might have been, ironically, the same exact version where Wallace herself, steps away from her thesis from Black Macho and criticizes herself in the foreword. She actually tells us that she didn't use any sampling. She didn't study anything. She based her opinion on Black men based off of a couple of men that she knew of. And this book, look, I grew up with that book on my shelf. My mother had it.
Wow.
I remember that book, even though I was too young to read it or understand it. I remember even the image on the cover. And I grew up with that in my house. And I saw the impact of it by the time I went to college and went to graduate school, and people were citing it. And I was like, that's the same book that I grew up with. And, but I remember the impact of that. Yeah. It's still with us. And in matter of fact, the irony there too is that a lot of modern day feminists don't even know about the book. And yet it is one of the snowballs that started this avalanche. But go ahead. Yeah.
So this is why, for me, when I read this piece, right now, let's look at some of the details. This piece is published in Vanity Fair. Yep. Who reads Vanity Fair? Basically, old white women, right? Middle-aged, older white women.
Yep.
So if you have a problem with Black men, right? Why are you writing in? Thanks, Delta Guy. Why are you writing about your issues in Vanity Fair? Right. So that's one thing. Number two, because remember, I was inside of this, right? I haven't seen the lengths being taken by Black feminists to say, you know what, Black men, let me understand you better. Let's have a fulfilling and generative conversation.
No.
Right? It's usually, you need to believe what we're saying about you.
Yes.
Or then get this, and this is another part. Actually, no, let me say one more thing. Why then, right? And so part of my issue with this was, why are you doing this in a white magazine instead of right talking to other black men? But also, why is it in a white magazine?
Right.
Which leads me to think, hold on.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's not so much about the fact that we need to hold black men accountable, but more so about white supremacists using the same exact narrative to push a particular propaganda, a particular perspective about black men. And it was this piece that literally solidified me to now no longer am I, okay, I'm not a black feminist anymore. But now it's very clear how black feminism has become an agent of white supremacy.
Yeah. This is, in fact, why I call many of them colonizing agents, because that's the role they play. That's the role they play, even in relationships at this point. But you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right.
And so what I hope to show through the rest of the description is this. And it's cool because I realized this actually just after we talked. White, you know what? Like sometimes you guys just be like, you know what? That was a smooth move, right? Like sometimes things golden child. Like you look at what Trump did, right? Sometimes you just gotta say, you know what, Trump, you did it, right? Just give him his props. It was funny, just on a side note, right? I almost shouldn't even mention this because you saw what Biden did with the crack pipes.
I heard about it.
Oh my gosh, bro! Those people who were saying that Biden is just as bad as Trump, they got a strong argument. But let me get back on topic. Sometimes you just nod your head at what they did. White supremacy is so slick. Let me show you how they did it, right? And this goes to the wrap up point on how it's an agent of white supremacy. What they did is this: they took the actual pain that black women experience and weaponized it.
Okay.
And let me explain this. So, for example, just based on proximity, right? The group most likely to either rape or abuse or black women is going to be black men. But you and I know the violence is bidirectional. So, of course, we know that this happens both ways. We hurt each other. All right, bet. What white supremacy does, right? They'll take that abuse. They've taken that abuse on black women being abused, which is an actual pain, and said, look, this is the way black men are. Black men are rapists. But because the instrument being used to carry this message is black feminism, right? If we speak out against it, it would sound like we are speaking out against black women being abused.
And it sounds like we're advocating for that abuse, the rape, and anything else.
Exactly.
And the other
you
part
see how
of
I'm explaining this?
But and the other part of it is the fact that they are out there, using the same talking points as racist scholars that go back to the 1800s. It's that much more potent because as black women, they have the authority to say, well, we've lived through this, right? And so for society itself, they can say, well, this must be true because black women are saying it's true. But see, that's what ends up becoming so important about data. Because when you and I were in grad school, I didn't see a lot of data.
We ain't getting none of that, bro.
It wasn't, you know what it is? Like, I'll give you an example. If we talked about sexual victimization in class, they would bring in a woman who had been violated. She would tell her story in class. Everybody would feel bad for her. People would start to share what pieces they had that seemed like it was similar. And then they would kind of look at all the men in class and kind of,
See,
you need to do better. You need to do this.
You need to do better. Yeah.
But we never saw any data. We never saw any statistics, and we never saw anything about what black men experienced. So when this information slowly started to come out, especially in the last 12, 13 years, it really started to, you had a lot of brothers like you and I going, wait a minute, what the hell?
Ain't adding up.
And that's the thing. It's not adding up. And that's the thing that really kind of pissed me off. But again, without any data, and I talk about this too. When you're in graduate school as a Black male, you're lucky if you find any Black male professor that you can be mentored by, right? So more often than not, you're dealing with Black women professors, and you're in this foreign environment doing something you haven't even seen anyone in your family do in terms of graduate school. And so you take to them as mentors, and you almost, depending on the circumstances, sometimes you almost even develop like a mother-son dynamic with these women mentors. So when she's telling you about the high levels of Black female incarceration, violations, sexual vulnerability,
like, oh, wow.
You're taking this like, well, this is coming from someone I trust. This is coming from a mother figure. You know what I mean? And you take it at face value, and then you go out in the community and you try to impose all the things that you're learning because it has to be true.
Right.
Until you actually get the data. And then you're like, wait a minute. And then what ends up happening from there is you even start to think about things you've experienced, just like you were talking about earlier, and you realize that those experiences do count in the issues we talked about. But from a Black feminist framework, you've never in any class been asked to include your experiences in the discourse, because as a man, let alone a heterosexual man, you're not part of the conversation. You can be gay or trans and have something to say, but if you're heterosexual, you're not part of this conversation. You need to sit and listen and be quiet.
And I want to highlight something you said, right? What you said is same, and we feel this way. We actually care, right? Mm-hmm. We, like you said, we care about Black women who are being incarcerated. We care about Black women who have been raped. We care about Black women who are being abused. We care about Black, like I said, remember when I was organizing for in BLM with the Pride, I wanted a Black space with Black queer folks, right? Mm-hmm. The trick of the enemy is that when we challenge the myths, right, the lies, mm-hmm. the fact that there are times, periods in which Black men actually have the highest sexual victimization rate. We have Black boys have their earliest sexual debut. When we account for rape in prison, which not is on people always say think is male guards. There are actually women guards who rape too, right? When we account for these things and we say, hold on, there's a potential that Black men might actually have the highest rate than any other demographic. Yeah. Then it sounds as if we don't care about other groups. And that's the trick of the enemy.
Mm-hmm. Especially when you add in. Appreciate that support. I think it's ghetto user.
From the hood, baby. What's up, ghetto user?
But it really, when you add in made to penetrate cases as well, you see the numbers continue to go up. And here's the thing: before they had a classification for male sexual victimization, you just had all these cases that were archived with no classification. Once they began to change the classifications to include men, the numbers started to kick through the roof. Cases that were sitting with no designation. So when boys had experienced these things or men they just, they didn't have a framework for it. And so that changes the discussion. And when men and boys start to say, no, we need to be a part of this discussion. The experiences we're having, the data that concerns us needs to be a part of this discourse. You actually start getting pushback. And this is what was happening in my classes. I'm getting pushback from young women in the class and from Black female. Appreciate that support, Durante. And from Black female administrators who are saying that this is inherently misogynistic. That you're even including men in a dialogue about gender and sexuality and what's going on with it. That you're including heterosexual men. It's considered inherently sexist and misogynist. And that's
so I just want to be clear to everybody's listening, right? Look at the way the enemy works. We are not saying that we don't care about Black women, other Black people, right? What we are saying is that these narratives are false, and we are challenging white supremacist narratives. White supremacy set it up in such a way that challenging white supremacist narratives makes it sound like we're anti-Black feminists, well, we are anti-black feminists, but it makes it sound like we're anti-black women, and we're not. We are pro-black people, and we want the same attention that we give to black queer folks, the same attention we give to black women. How about we include black men in these narratives?
Right.
That's the point.
But here's the thing, too. I do believe in holding people with agency accountable. Just
right.
You know, and this has been a legacy in the black community. If you're going to talk about an Uncle Tom, right?
Which is a false framing, right? Because Uncle Tom was actually the man, but go ahead.
No, you know, but you know how it's used.
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
You know, colloquially, you know, the way it's used. If someone is identified as a Tom, they're held accountable publicly, right? If they're a coon, they're held accountable publicly. If they're out there using black people's names to prioritize and profit off, you know, for themselves only, we hold them accountable. But when we get to gender and we start talking about, you know, the legacy of black feminism, all of a sudden, now we got to be quiet,
right?
And I'm like, no,
we
keep
don't.
that same energy. We are calling folks out. This is one of the reasons that you know, I've been going over some of Dr. Curry's recent work, because he's identifying the actual people who were instrumental in developing these theories, using these theories, and targeting black men with these theories. And by the time, and this is where your activism is really important, because you had boots on the ground when this started to happen. You have intersectionality being developed in the late 1980s. By the time you get to the death of Michael Brown, you're seeing the children of the theory of intersectionality coming to Ferguson in droves, coming to Ferguson and injecting intersectionality as a basis for activism. And then with that, you see the rise of Black Lives Matter, which is operationalizing it to the extent that they're telling heterosexual black men, you need to be quiet. You cannot take a leadership position in this organization. This is a time for women. This is a time for LGBT. And we are going to respond with a justice movement, but we're going to silence you because you're part of a legacy of patriarchy and oppression in the community.
That's a perfect segue. Can we go to the Black Man Can't Die Right?
Yeah, let me.
That's a perfect segue, because I actually laid that out and what you just said in detail in that article.
Okay.
But I do want everybody to see that image. This image is going to blow people's mind.
Okay. All right. Go ahead.
So, y'all, I'm on Twitter, right? And for those who are on Twitter, you might have already seen this. But Aisha Callahan is actually, she is written for Essence, The Root, of course, and BET. So it's not like she's just some, like, you know, some woman off in the basement with no.
Right.
No. So this guy, so Umar Johnson makes a video, another person makes a response video, and in the response video, this dude says that black men can't even die right. She comments, I'm pissed even thinking about this. She comments under the video that you can't even die right, LOL. So evidently, black men death is just a joke to people.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? In the middle of, like you said, in the middle of Mike Brown, in the middle of 30 years later from Rodney King, from Trayvon Martin, the whole list of hashtags, like the people we don't even know about. This is a joke.
Yeah.
You really got jokes?
Yeah.
And she writes for BET.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And so this is why I was like, yo, I need to speak up. I need to tell the world this. Like, y'all need to pay attention to what is going on. And so, yes, black feminists who think it's a joke. Exactly. Well, she eventually, you can see the quote teats. She eventually deleted it, right? So that's why we had to screenshot her.
Right.
If we didn't screenshot it, she'll say she never said that, right? So we screenshotted it before she could delete it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But so that way, hopefully that answers your question. So that's why I was like, yo, I need to get on a mission to tell the world about this, right? Because the world needs to know that this is what's going on. And so actually, yeah, let's just leave this up as I break this article down, right? So what happens is if we go back to 1970s, I'll go through the early history very quickly with the rise of Black feminism, right?
Okay.
Black feminists start 1973. You have the National Black Feminist Organization. And then get this is an important point. 30 Black women were disgruntled. That should have told us from the beginning. They did not they had some discrepancies with the Black National Black Feminist Organization. So they leave the NBFO and start the Combahee River.
Combahee River Collective, yeah.
Yep. And they end up writing the Combahee River Collective statement. Right? They write this statement and they say the issues are heterosexism, heterosexism, gender, racism. That's right. So racism from white women, sexism from Black men, and heterosexism from basically cisgender or from straight people, right? So, and they make all these claims about how they were basically mistreated during the quote unquote what they call the civil rights movement.
Okay.
So let's look at their claims, right? So can you go to the other article, the Black Women Voices from the Black Freedom Movement? So scroll down. Let's look at Kathleen Cleaver's statements because she drops it, right?
You want me to play it?
Oh, are you allowed to play it?
Well, yeah, I can play it. Let me see.
See if you can actually play Elaine Brown's.
Okay. Let me see. I'm gonna have to hold on.
One.
I gotta close it and open it back up because I didn't share.
Okay, yeah. Because when you hear her, she snaps, bro.
Yeah,
she snaps.
Which is interesting because we don't. That's not something we're privy to. Let me almost there.
Yeah, take your time.
And there we go. All right, here we go.
And skip to I think the 3-minute mark.
Cool. Skip to where?
I think it's the 3-minute mark.
Okay. Started from there.
I've been anybody in the Black Panther Party because, first of all, anybody that knows me knows one thing about me: I cannot cook at all. And I mean, I'm talking about serious flaws in cooking. Like I'm going to cut my thumb if I cut an onion or something. Seriously.
But would it have been women mostly?
No. Why would you say that? Why would you say that? That's what women say. They always think the Black Panther Party was some kind of chauvinist entity. They fail to remember that NAACP, SNCC. And there was no progressive organization. There was no Black organization that had any women in leadership except the Black Panther Party.
Yeah. No,
now, why is it that people would think women would cook?
Yeah, I just wanted to.
As a matter of fact, the chief cook was a guy named Russell, whatever his last name was, I can't think of.
Oh, great, yeah.
And the chief cook at our lamppost was a guy named Mojo. Right. I mean, so why would we think that? It's insulting to me because people think the Black people, we had some kind of animalistic thug boys and that all the women were bitches in the kitchen. No, it was not like that. And but it calls that stereotype. Yeah. So I'm checking it now so that you have a consciousness that I hear that. Yeah. I hear people criticize the Black Panther Party all the time. Oh, it wasn't a part. It was, it was chauvinist. Oh, excuse me. Is the world not, a country that's not a patriarchy? Tell me which one it is. Do you know one?
Yeah, I just wanted you to clarify that for us.
I know, but that question wouldn't have come up if you hadn't thought that only women would be cooking.
I didn't think that, but other people have said that. So I just you're the only source of.
Who has said what?
Well, it's just like the general conversations sometimes that you.
Who are these people that say these things?
Just in my research and talking to people, it's not that anybody thinks that necessarily, but those are the questions I've been asked.
But this is a question of women. This is a question that women ask, and mostly so-called feminists of the Gloria Steinem ilk, or whatever they now want to call themselves, the third wave, second wave, whatever wave they are. Yeah. And this is a very bourgeois feminist notion because they always think that we have to get out of the kitchen. Yeah. And you know what Black women said? My mother said when they had get out of the kitchen and into the street, yeah, I'd like to get out of the kitchen, your kitchen. Yeah. And it didn't even occur to these Betty Friedens and whatever her name is, former CIA agent, Bunny, Gloria Steinem.
Gloria Steinem.
I mean, she admits that she worked for the CIA, so it's not something Elaine is making up, okay? She talks about it, and she was also a Playboy Bunny. And Gloria Steinem and Betty Friedan, that group, those are the kinds of people that constantly said, oh, the Black Panthers were chauvinists, so I didn't want to be in it. So I go, okay, fine, well, what group are you in? Because you denounced the woman that became Roe, and she said she didn't accept third trimester abortion. So, I'm finished proselytizing on this. I just want to make clear that who cooked the food, like what? What difference does it make? We thought of ourselves as an organization. If you had a job to do, you had an assignment. We were a paramilitary organization in the sense that people did not vote on what you did or what you didn't do. If you could cook, you would be cooking. If you could handle a gun, you would be handling a gun. Most women could not handle guns like men could, although all of us were trained on weapons, okay? So if you want to ask me about the internal workings of the Black Panther Party, then we can ask that. But when you start, then that's a separate conversation. Yeah. But we're talking about the position that we were the only Black organization that took that. Where were the Weather Underground when you went into when we occupied the building? Do you know? SDS, the little People's Park people. Where were they? Where was the SCLC, NAACP? Africa, the Freedom, whatever it is, Africa, New Republic of Africa. Where were all those groups? So here you have an organization that had such an understanding of revolution in America that it actually participated and understood the connection and didn't care about the majority of people there were white. So where was the Native American? Where was AIM? Where was the Puerto Ricans? I don't know. We were there. Now you're gonna question me about what difference does it make to you who cooked the food? That's my point.
That's great.
She went in, right? That's Elaine Brown. She's the chairwoman of the Black Panther Party.
Right.
Oh, somebody was asking that in the questions. Bro, that's a completely different picture than these Black feminists pushing, right?
Right.
And this is why this is so important, because Black feminists have literally silenced other Black women.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because you never hear, and if you look at this article, you got all these Black women who making very similar comments, right? You don't hear from them. All you hear is that Huey Newton and Stokely Carmichael and Black Panthers were sexist.
I'm going to put the link for this page in the comments so you guys can check it out in more detail. I'll just scroll through so people can see it. And if there's anything you want to add to it, please do. Well, go ahead.
But and so this is a very key point, right?
Mm-hmm.
So listen to what she went in, bro. I mean, we really could just spend the whole time just talking about what she said. But she said, y'all want to treat, it's the Black people that y'all want to treat like animalistic thugs.
Right.
She nailed it.
Shout out.
That's the part, right? They literally, these tropes about Black men have been in existence really since the travel narratives of Europeans, right? Mm-hmm. Europeans created these tropes right during the beginning of the transatlantic slave trade about Black people, and they're particularly about Black men. Mm-hmm. And now, right, it went from, and we're going to look at this in the pictures, but it basically went from being bruised and beats to thugs. And that's what she's saying right there. And this is what Black feminism is pushing. And this is why it makes sense. I came to the conclusion that in a Vanity Fair article, reading to the majority of white people, that you're literally use a white supremacist talking point when you're talking about one Black man to then spread out over to all Black people, all Black men.
Real quick, shout out to MS Delta for the generous contribution.
Oh, whoa! Shout out!
Yeah. Now, let me know where you want to take it from here.
Yeah, so let's go back to the
other article.
That right.
Mm-hmm.
So we start there, and that shows that first of all, that at the beginning there's issues, right? There's internal issues. The talking points are not what. That's why I say the 30. This was 30 Black women, right? This was 30. You can really say middle class Black women, right? They weren't an accurate representation of the masses of Black women during that time period. But also another key point, what she says, which is in this article. Look who's working with her, Gloria Steinem.
Right.
So let me break this down. Right, you have Gloria Steinem, a CIA agent. She jokingly is like, "Oh yeah, she's a Playboy one." Yo, Elaine Brown was clowning him. Yo, she went in. Yo, she was clowning him. But listen to this: you have a CIA agent working with Black feminists. She is the one who only reason that Michelle Wallace's book was on your bookshelf was because she was the one who funded that book getting out there.
Exactly. And some say she ghost wrote it.
Wow. I knew white women helped write it. I didn't know if it was her.
Well, that's again, I don't have any verifiable evidence, so I'm just saying
if she's fucking it would make sense though, right?
Yeah. And
so listen to this, right? So the CIA, actually, can you scroll down? Because I can't remember the name of the
talking about this. Scroll down in this? Okay.
Actually, you know what? I can pull it up because I want to see. The CIA started this this group. Here it goes. They started this group called Operation Chaos.
Okay.
So CIA starts Operation Chaos. There it goes. You see what it says to sabotage the movement in the 1960s? So the CIA, we know about COINTELPRO and Operation Chaos, right? Actually, go ahead and click on that so people can see it. To sabotage the movement.
I'm not seeing it. Oh, okay. Here we go. All right. I see. You want me to open this up?
Yeah, just so people can see what I'm talking about.
Okay.
Yeah, and then scroll in. There it goes. So the CIA starts Operation Chaos and then work with COINTELPRO to fight against the Black freedom movement in the 1960s.
Right.
So make this make sense. How in the world, right, you go from Gloria Steinem in the CIA, who we see right here, literally work against Black men, to now using her to overthrow patriarchy and get free? Make that make sense, right? And of course you're gonna say, yeah, the Black men in the Black Panther Party and the SNCC and all that were chauvinistic and patriarchal because you're literally working with the CIA.
And by the way, I'm putting the links for all the articles we're talking about in the comments, so you guys can check it out.
So then, right, we fast forward to what you were saying about intersectionality, right? This other part just blows your mind. So Kimberly Crenshaw is a legal scholar, right? When she's writing about intersectionality, she's talking about including quote unquote gender into basically the way we're thinking about the law in the late 80s, early 90s.
Okay.
Now, Dr. Johnson, what was happening in the late 80s and early 90s to Black men?
You talking about incarceration? You talking about the war on drugs in high gear?
War on drugs and mass incarceration. So we're literally seeing, in the midst of when the highest rates of incarceration for one particular demographic in world history, specifically Black men, right? In the middle of that, she coins a term, intersectionality, that says we need to include gender, but gender only focuses on Black women. Right. How in the world does that make sense?
Exactly.
If gender, and we're supposed to be talking about gender and intersectionality in the 1990s, we're not talking about Black men.
No, academically, we didn't have a gender. The only time Black men came up in gender studies discourse was as a problem to Black women or white women in terms of sexual aggression. That was the main time you saw Black men in the discussion at all. Yeah.
So go back to the article, Can't That Right? We're gonna wrap this part up and then go to and then we're gonna go to the images. Scroll down to the one with Gloria Steinem and Alicia Garza. The image. It should be like the second to last image. There we go. Okay. Right there. So basically, I say in the article, right, Gloria Steinem was not successful with Michelle Wallace, but she was successful with Black Lives Matter. So let's look what happened. Exactly what you explained, right? With the killing of Mike Brown in 2014, right? Oh, hold on. Let me say something first. I found out just recently, Alicia Garza didn't even coin the term Black Lives Matter.
Oh, what?
Somebody is on my. I should let me. I wish I posted it on Twitter, I think, but somebody else. This like black. I think it's a black dude, a sociologist, coined the term Black Lives Matter in 2012.
Oh, you definitely got to send me that. You definitely got to send me that.
Crazy, bro.
I hadn't even thought of it, but I think my base assumption was, as many problems as I have with this organization, the formal organization, not the grassroots movement on the ground, but the formal organization, as many problems as I have with it, I just gave them the benefit of the doubt that they at least came up with the name. Now they're using black male bodies to pull up money and pull it out of the community and not even use it for any beneficial reason. But I at least gave them the benefit of the doubt that they created the name.
Bro,
I didn't even think that was an issue that needed to be checked up on. But real quick,
I'm gonna try to find it before we finish the
Hold on, real quick. Shout out to Elwood,
go ahead.
Todd, and Expansion Writing for the Cash Apps. Appreciate you, BGS, reminding me to do that. Thank you. We got Green Gorilla in the chat. I put up a couple of his comments. I don't know. I didn't get a chance to talk to him beforehand, so he might be tied up. But if he isn't, when I bring people on, I hope he's able to come on in and join the conversation. And yeah. But anyway, let's go. Continue.
So what happens is, right? And that's what they want you to say. They want you to say that BLM is different from the organization, the people. No, it ain't, bro. So this is what happened. Okay, I found it. It is. Here we go. Marcus Anthony Hunter. Wow. If you get a chance to, if you just Google how does LA's racial past resonate now?
Okay.
How does LA's racial past resonate now? Hashtags Black Lives Matter Originator. So I'll let you look that up, and I'll break this down.
How does LA's
racial past resonate now? Hashtag Black Lives Matter Originator.
Wow.
You found it?
No, not yet. I'm tripping on the implications. So black men can't participate in an organization that's really predicated on their deaths. And even the term itself is developed by a brother who doesn't get any acknowledgement. Look, anytime I hear Me Too, I hear the original black woman credited who came up with it, right? I have never heard anybody mention this. So you said hashtag Black Lives what? You said
hashtag Black Lives Matter.
Okay. All right.
That should come up.
I think in the LA Times.
Yep, that's it. You got it.
Okay. What I'll do is I'm going to put this link in the comments as well. And I'll put all of these links in the description once the show is done. So they'll be available for everybody to peruse through there. Yeah, Tarana Burke. Thank you, Trell. Yeah. I've always heard Tarana. They go out of their way to make sure she's credited. Yep.
Gotta say,
funding me the hashtag Me Too, but I've never once heard this brother's name mentioned. It's ridiculous.
So let me break this down, right? So let me talk about what happened in 2014. Like you said, I was there. I was in Ferguson. I was on the ground.
Right.
You know who wasn't? You know who was there, but who wasn't on the ground? Alicia, Oprah, and Patrice.
Oh, damn.
They weren't getting tear gas. They weren't fighting with the militarized equipment and all that stuff, right? So let's talk about this, right? Tory, and it's in the if y'all look at the article, he talks about this. He basically says how BLM underdeveloped the movement. So the Walter Rodney wrote a book, How Europe Underdeveloped Africa, right?
Right.
Tori talks about how BLM underdeveloped the movement.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, that's it. That's it. So that guy was the one who originally came up with the hashtag Black Lives Matter. So what happened was, and as I explained this, you can make sense. That article is going to make even more sense. Okay. So all of us on the ground are doing this work, right? People in Ferguson, Ferguson was the ones. It was people in Ferguson, the surrounding area. They got a whole lot of like jurisdictions. It's hard to say like it's Ferguson, Florissant. Like St. Louis is crazy, right? But those were the ones who got it cracking. Who was in front of the police station every single day for about 5 to 6 months. They were the ones who basically like turned the world upside down, right?
Right.
Many of us who went to Ferguson came back and we were inspired, right? And let me explain this movement from someone who used to be a part of Black Lives Matter. At the time, we didn't separate Ferguson from Black Lives Matter, right? Okay. So we thought that what happened in Ferguson was a part of Black Lives Matter, right? That's one. Two, because we didn't know about the leaders and all that stuff. We just saw them, the narrative. Hey, it's 3 queer women. They're radicals. We didn't know they were inside and stuff, but we thought they was really about it, right?
Right.
The reason why it was so influential at first was one. Well, now we see it. Like this hashtag is kind of catchy, right?
Of course. Like, yeah. Oh yeah.
That's easy to spread. Black Lives Matter. Bam, right? That's one. But two, there was a moment in 2014 where we felt like we finally had one thing that we could all agree on. You see what I'm saying? It was like, yes, we could actually come together and rally around and get free.
Yeah.
Little did we know the 3 organizers, the 3 leaders were basically planning and plotting the whole time. Whoa.
Yeah, shout out MS Delta. Much appreciation. Yeah, no doubt. Appreciate that support.
Yeah, thanks, bro. I had to stop this, shout you off for that. But we had no idea that they was planning, and that they were pushing Black feminism to the masses.
Yeah.
So this is what happened, right? Because it was such an influential movement, because we thought all the work on the ground was actually BLM, right?
Right.
It reached a certain level of respect and a certain level of credence where, like, you know what? Like, yes, this is it, right? And so now, instead of it being those 30 women that nobody paid attention to, and I talked about this in the article, whenever Barbara Smith was on that show, Barbara Smith is an early Black feminist in the 1980s. Tony Brown Journal, right?
Yeah, Tony Brown Journal. Okay.
They were literally clowning her, like they were laughing at her. And this is the 1986.
Okay. Who are you saying is clowning her?
The people in the audience.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you watch Tony Brown Journal, he interviews Ishmael Reed, and it's funny because people say Ishmael Reed is like an early Tommy Curry.
No, he was citing statistics that he had to go get. But shout out to Green Gorilla. If you haven't seen that interview, go to the Green Gorilla channel and you can watch it there. Absolutely brilliant.
Oh, it's up there? The Tony Brown Journals?
Green Gorilla posted it on.
Green Gorilla came through, bro.
Yeah, he did.
When you watch it, the people in the audience are literally laughing at her.
Yeah.
Because she starts with these talking points. They're like, bro, what are you talking about? Like, this doesn't even make sense. So they went from just 30 women and being laughed at and having a place in the academy to now Black Lives Matter is pushing this to the masses.
Exactly. And let me be clear, for those of us who were not in Ferguson at the time, many of us, I won't say all by any measure, but I know people like me, we thought Black Lives Matter was just the latest chant. And the chant resonated. It really did. I didn't know it was an organization. I saw people on the ground on television. I heard the chant. We were protesting and using the chant. So I didn't know it was an organization until later.
They were so slick. They said that they weren't an organization. Patrice Cullors wrote an article said we didn't start an organization. We started a movement.
No. the movement was going. Y'all just hijacked the energy. Well, go ahead.
And that's exactly what happened. So actually, like if y'all saw Dave Chappelle on Prince game blouses.
Oh, damn.
Because once they got that respect in 2015, now they can literally push Black feminism to the masses.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Now the academics can say, oh, it's three black queer women who are at the head of the movement.
Mm-hmm.
And this is why it's a part of the propaganda machine, because now the media is calling the movement Black Lives Matter.
Yes, exactly.
So you got the media calling the movement Black Lives Matter. It was already in the academy, right? And then who they hook up with next? The Democratic Party.
Mm-hmm.
So now you got it. You got the media, you got the Democratic Party, and you got academics all pushing this. And in the center of this is activism. So I would say that there's a three-headed monster of activists, academics, and politicians being pushed by the media.
Wow.
So this is why in 2015, you basically have Black Lives Matter to the world and the media pushing the agenda. Little did we know they were pushing Black feminism the whole time. So then what happens in 2016? We started paying attention. We noticed on their website, they say, hold on.
Right.
We need to think about the structure of the Black family.
Yep.
Right? And it's like, oh, you know what? You don't necessarily like have to have the nuclear family, right? As long as you have a group. It's like, hold on, this.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's what basically, then as we see now, like they just bank like 90 million that we can count that we know of, right? So they good, like they got their hustle,
right?
So we all know now, but we basically figured out it was too late.
Yeah.
Now,
well, there was an article released by the Washington Post in 2017 entitled "Let the Black Women Lead." Right, yeah. And in that article, they're quoting, the three founders who lay out there very clearly, contrary to the widely held misconceptions that Black Lives Matter was founded solely for men or boys. Alicia Garza, Patrisse Cullors, and I created Black Lives Matter for Black women. That is a quote by Opal Tometi. That's 2017. They are letting it be known. It is for Black women.
And so Black Lives Matter has been effective in getting Black feminism to the masses. And so to bring it all together, that's where you get Yaisha Callahan saying Black men can't die right. She can joke about it. It doesn't matter. And she can be a writer for BET, for Essence, for mainstream Black, right? So let's be clear. I'm not talking about white stations. I mean, we know it's white owned. But Black BET is supposed to be one of our stations, right? So now they can push this to our people, to the masses. Now you get a vice president, Kamala Harris. Now you about to get a Supreme Court. All of this is coming from BLM, the push of Black feminism,
which is why, and we knew that especially when they demanded that Biden, have a Black woman VP, and the same thing they did with the Supreme Court justice. They, you saw it with the demands, even though the politics weren't there. There was no discussion about what the values should be, what her politics should be, what her worldview should be. It just needed she just needed to be a Black woman. That was it. And the subtext was, well, we've already had a Black man. Right, whether we're talking about Supreme Court justices, we're talking about Obama, we've had presidents, we've already had a Black man. It's time for a Black woman. Any question about the politics? No, that's not important. She just needs to be a Black woman. Word? Okay.
So I think we can wrap it up with now. Let's go to the home run. Let's look at these images.
Okay.
And the Facebook images. Now, when we look at these images, right, and as you and I want to set this up as you pull them up.
You want to use the ones you had on the screen on the actual post itself first, or which one?
Yeah.
Let me see. Okay, hold on. Let me get them. Well,
So
go
as
ahead.
he's
Keep
setting
talking
these
while I
up,
come.
I felt this image saying that rape is rape is rapist and like you can't rape clothes or something about that, whatever. And I shared that with people saying, look, this is exactly what I'm talking about. This is the propaganda machine where they're using actual black women's pain as a tool to continue to divide black people and to perpetuate the black male rapist, the black brute, the black beast trope. Everybody got mad at me. They're like, why are you doing that? You trying to silence black women? You trying to. I was like, all right, let's go ahead and look at this. Now, shout out to Fresno State University. They collected these images. So this really goes back, this all goes back to slavery, right? So during slavery, the initial black brute, black beast perspective of black men happens at the plantations and during slavery.
Right.
I argued that if you notice all of the whippings of black people, they always happen publicly, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what I'm arguing is that this is a public display of the lack of black people and black men in specific lack of humanity, right?
Yeah.
So because I'm gonna show you, right? If you get out of line, I can control you. You a boy, and I can beat you.
Mm-hmm.
So my argument is that weapons, because they were always done publicly, is the initial public display of black men as brute and as beasts.
Mm-hmm.
Following that, you get to these images, right? I got this from Fresno State University.
Right.
And the link is on my webpage. But look at this. They literally are portraying black men as beasts. Mm-hmm. They don't have like they just look like they don't have like full human features. And it's like they're going to either, and of course she's sexualized, right? So there's a sexual connotations, and they're either going to stab her or eat her or something, right?
Right.
Let's go to the next image. So we go from there. Then right there, they literally called this "How Sleeps the Beast," right? And it's like, and this is during, of course, on the turn of the 20th century, on Jim Crow era, and this is where they're using this beast trope to, and this is why this is so important, right? Actually, let me pause and say this. The reason why I am on this mission is because our life as black men is at stake.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Our lives literally depends on this.
Right.
Because if we are seen as beasts, as brutes, as rapists, and now the current terminology, as thugs, then we aren't fully human.
Yep.
And if we aren't fully human, then we are disposable and they can kill us.
Yeah. And that the community,
I know it's kind of grim and heavy.
But no, but Dr. CD2, appreciate that support.
Thank you.
But it also suggests that the community itself should help with the eradication, because at the end of the day, black men are a threat to everyone, including their own. Yeah.
So what happens here, right? They literally use this trope of the black beast for lynching. If you want to understand lynching during the change of the 20th century, early 20th century, you got to understand that they said, oh no, we are concerned about black men raping black women, because if black men rape black women, then that will mix the race. You will have mixes of the race, what they call miscegenation. It will be atrocious and oh no, black blood. So to prevent that, we need a lynching. And the same way that whippings were public during slavery, lynchings again were a public display of the lack of humanity of black men. And of course, overwhelmingly, we all know this, the main demographic that was lynched the most were black men.
Yeah.
So fast forward, I'm sorry. So yeah, go to the next picture, right?
Well, now I think those are the only two. But I do want to say this also connects to what I was talking about the other day, where I was looking at Sedanius and what he was, Jim Sedanius and Martin Luther King. And one of the things they talked about was the sexual competition with white men. When you talk about lynching, part of the reason for that was to demonstrate that black men were not to have any access to not only white women but even black women without white male authority. But let me see, this might be the one you're talking about. Are you talking about this image here? Do you want to deal with that?
Yes. But actually, if you pull up my post,
Post itself, okay.
yeah, go to the post itself, because that one. And so as he's doing this, and let me say this, right, and this is where black feminism comes in. Prior to the 1970s, all of the images of the black brute, the black beast, the black rapist were always of white women, right? After the rise of black feminism.
Are you talking about this one here?
No, go back.
Okay. Ah, shit. All right, I gotta go find it again.
Okay, that's fine. I can talk about it because y'all remember this. What big movie comes out in 1980s? Color Purple.
Mm-hmm.
And then there were other movies with the black exploitation films.
Mm-hmm.
The very first time, and this is why I'm like, black feminism is an Asian and white supremacy. The very first time it moves from black men being rapists and beasts of white women to now black men being rapists and beasts of black men is after the 1970s and the rise of black feminism.
Yep.
So literally, nowhere before history, in the history of images of what's been displayed, did you see black men just going after and raping and being savages and all that of black women until the 1970s and 1980s. So that's why and we can pull up, you're gonna see this picture of Danny Glover just like, it's like, yo. And then like sharing the post too, Ike Turner. The Ike Turner, it got so normalized, right? Of the black male beast.
Yeah.
That Ike Turner has become a meme.
Yeah, yes.
Let that sink in, bro.
Mm-hmm.
Like we see it, and we don't even think about the fact that they are pushing this agenda.
Mm-hmm.
And people literally share the meme and joke about it. Like, oh, what you say? And little did they know, every single time they share that meme, they're reinforcing this image of this black Bruce and this black beast that if Ike Turner get out of line, if a black woman get out of line, I'm gonna beat you. I'm gonna basically just oppress you and Okay,
here we go. It's weird. Sometimes my Facebook page articles will just disappear. Okay, so I'll put it back up and you walk me through how you want me to go through this.
Yeah. So hopefully the Danny Glover picture will come up.
Okay, so what am I?
Yeah, scroll down. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, go ahead, click on the post.
Want this one?
Yeah, that's it. Can you click on the post?
Is this the one you're looking for? The brute caricature?
Oh no, the if you go back to the can you click on the actual post? Yeah.
Where, just this one here?
Yeah, click in there. Yep. There it goes.
Yeah. Okay.
And then scroll down.
Okay.
Oh, it's not coming up. Okay, don't worry about it then.
Replies. I think you put it in the replies, right?
I did. You're right. Scroll down.
Okay, so I'm just gonna have to pull them up and find them.
Welcome to the Terror Dome.
Appreciate that membership. See Truth. Yeah, they're in here. It's just this, how they do it. So I don't know where you put them.
Yeah, don't worry about it because that image you showed is gonna I can bring it home with that image anyway. The one that you were able to find.
Okay, wait a minute. I apologize, people.
Oh, there it goes. That's it. Here's a full explanation.
Where? Oh, okay.
Right there.
You want me to click this?
Yep, that's it.
All right.
Perfect. That's it.
Okay.
All right, scroll down. There it goes. So that's another one, right? Scroll up a little bit. That's another image, right? Like literally non-human features. He's going to eat her.
Right.
And then, like I was saying, scroll down. The first time you get, look at that. Scroll up a little bit. Look at that.
Yeah.
What black man you know? How many black men you know just like, oh, I just want to beat you. And it's so foul that they're literally remaking The Color Purple right now.
Yes,
they're not even hiding that joint.
No, not at all. It's a badge of honor to them. It's a badge of honor.
So then, yep, exactly. They go to me,
Mm-hmm.
and then this is important, right? Look at this chronologically. Each time it keeps building. So we go from Jim Crow era to 80s Color Purple, 90s Ike Turner, and then scroll down. And then, yep, click on that one, 12 replies. And then these are all the movies. The one with the girl like Grace.
Okay.
They had a whole rape scene in there. 5 different men raping a 17-year-old girl. I guess we all seen Precious. Of course, that was a rape scene, right? And then look how bad this is. Look at the BET link. Click on the link. Every movie black woman needs to see, right?
Oh, nothing's coming up.
Okay, don't worry about it. But basically, a lot of the movies that's on that list are literally got Color Purple on there. It got there it goes.
Mm-hmm.
Why does every black woman need to see these movies?
Yeah.
Look at some of the other ones.
Of life.
What do they got? The black male beast.
Yep, She Gotta Have It. Daughters of the Dust. What's Love Got to Do with It? Crooklyn.
What's Love Got to Do with it?
Of course, Waiting to Exhale. Love Jones. Four Little Girls.
And
Horizon.
what was the one where she's famously blowing up the guy's car as she walk away?
Yeah, that was Waiting to Exhale. That was Waiting to Exhale.
Oh yeah, Waiting to Exhale.
Mm-hmm. American Violet. Free Angela and All Political Prisoners. Middle of Nowhere.
So it's like so they're literally overtly saying the movies you gotta see. In many of these movies, they're pushing this black male beach trope.
And look at this. Look at this. Look at the articles advertised at the very bottom. Dave Chappelle, Kanye,
oh my gosh,
Nipsey. You know what I'm saying? You see the symmetry there?
Yeah. Oh yeah, and Dave Chappelle is the one who was used for the other article.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't go back because unfortunately it gets worse, and that's why I was like, I gotta speak up.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, Medea fan reunion. Did you see that when he was
Yeah.
So scroll down.
Documentaries.
Yep. Who did they make the documentaries of?
Mm-hmm.
R. Kelly and Bill Cosby, right?
Yes, sir.
Not all those other white men who are. So scroll down some more, right? So the important thing that I'm showing is you got the images historically. You got them on movies. You got them on TV shows. Scroll down some more because I want click on tell them on the news, right? Scroll up to that one. That one. I put in Google search for rapists.
Okay.
Look who came up. A black man.
Right.
And now scroll back up, and this is what's going to bring it home, which is it's kind of depressing, but it's also like we need to talk about it.
Okay.
Right there, go back to the Me Too movement one, because this one is the one that's online.
Okay.
Yeah, click on those replies.
Oh, okay. Ooh, 34. All right.
Yeah, they be going in on me, bro.
Yeah.
All right, so click on the search. Yeah, search for sexual assault. Click on that one.
Where?
The one right in the middle.
I'm not seeing which one you be talking about.
Just go up. When I search for that one, that's it.
This one right here?
No, when I search for memes, go down one.
Oh, okay.
Right there, that one. Yeah.
All right.
Let's see what comes up. Yours is a little bit different, but look at the first person who came up. We literally cannot make this up.
Yeah.
The very first person that came up for memes of sexual assault is just some random black dude.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
We have become the face of sexual assault, of rapists, and abuse.
Yep.
6% of the population.
Yes, sir.
Scroll down. I'm just going to see what other images come up on yours. Look at that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
R. Kelly. 3 random black dudes.
Yeah. We are the men that are associated with these kind of acts are less. They're a fraction of 1% of black men.
And a fraction of a fraction
1%.
of a fraction of a fraction
Exactly.
of American society.
And
but
yet,
the face of sexual assault is black men.
Exactly.
We got a problem.
Exactly.
This is why I'm like, we gotta expose this.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And the most telling thing is, yes, you see the R. Kelly's, but it's so bad that the very first image you see is just some random black dude.
Yep.
So what does this mean to our existence, to our lives as black men, if people just think a random black dude is a rapist?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. We are synonymous in the American imagination. We are synonymous with rape. There's little separation. Yeah.
Brutes, beasts, and a program that has been going on for hundreds of years, which we just provided the primary evidence to show that.
Mm-hmm.
So when we say black feminism is an agent of white supremacy, let's be clear. So let's wrap it up and go back to that the picture with the girl with the braids. I don't know if you can find it, but it was the one you found it earlier.
In here?
Yeah, go back. Just go back. Like hit the back button.
Oh,
okay. You know what? Click on the tab right there to your left.
What tab? What am I looking for?
I'm trying to tab this to directly beside the tab that you're currently on.
You talking about the back arrow?
No, don't you see how you have tabs at the top? 1, 2, 3.
You talking about the tabs up here? You talking about this one?
Yep. Scroll up.
Okay.
Right there.
Okay.
So now, black feminists can push images like this.
Mm-hmm.
Where, of course, who you think the rapist is, right?
Right.
A black man.
Of course.
And now they are the ones pushing the same exact agenda. And this is why I say black feminism is an agent of white supremacy.
Yeah. And you have a whole generation, if not two, that have been trained in higher education with this curriculum. So you have a training in terms of those going in higher education. Then you have a pop culture training where you're seeing these things in media. Now, this real quick, just for those who may want to know, this is the Project Implicit coming out of Harvard, right? And basically, what this does when you go into it, they have a series of what they refer to as Iat tests, and basically what it does is it shows you a lot of quick images, and you respond to it. And what they've been showing in these little tests that people conduct is exactly what we're talking about, where stereotypes about black men. So for example, they have it on religion, they have it on Asians, transgenders, the whole kind of thing. But when you get to race, they'll show you, and weapons, they'll show you images of black men, and what you'll find more often than not is people associate them with violence, murder, rape, so on and so forth.
And this shows exactly. And right now, it's like, how can you argue against this?
Yeah. This is the fight we're having, because it's there. This is happening in overlapping spaces. It's happening at home. It's happening at school. It's happening in media. These narratives have become, and I've used
politics,
in activism, and there's resources and policies being applied to it politically, and so what we're getting at is really beyond a religion at this point. It's become a way of life, where discrediting and dismissing the humanity of black men comes with access and resources. This is where we are.
Oh, you want a book deal? Oh, you want a professor? You want a job as assistant? Oh, you want to go to grad school?
Yes.
Oh, you want to become an assistant professor?
Yes.
Oh, you want to write for BET?
Yes.
Oh, you want to write for Essence? Oh, just talk bad about black men. Just push this propaganda. We got you.
I can't tell you how many black male graduate students have reached out to me in the last 5 years, begging for me to be on their dissertation committees, because the only people they can go to if they want to deal with anything black or gender oriented are black feminist professors. And those black feminist professors require them to write their work in a black feminist context, or face the threat of being kicked out of programs that they've finished coursework, taken loans out to be in, and cannot move further unless they do what they're told. And then after that, of course, the hard part is getting a job, because you need recommendations from those very same professors, and then getting tenure. And so all the way up to tenure, you're pretty much, appreciate that, MS Delta. You're pretty much tap dancing to try and get some type of foothold into an institution. And so you have to actually continue to join in on this practice if you want anyone to sign you letters, recommend you for positions. Hell, if you just want to finish grad school.
Yeah. You gotta sell your soul, bro. And that's what, like, for me, as I reflect back on that time period, I was like, I couldn't even be myself.
Yeah. I want to invite some people up.
Yeah, we can invite some people
engage this. And before I do, I just want to say, I want to thank Hood Scholar for coming up. He's got a family to support. He's doing his thing. So I appreciate you taking the time to come break all of this down and share with us what you've been doing, what's been going on. Because when I saw that Facebook post, I was like, nah, we got to talk about this.
Bro.
I'm putting the link in the chat. So you guys want to come up, just remember, keep it fairly PG, keep it respectful, and we're good, but the link is out there for those who are interested. But no, this is important, man, and it needs to be dealt with publicly, because this media campaign, I mean, I remember as a child when Color Purple came out, I must have watched it 30 times. I read the book several times. My mother had me read the book. I read the book several times, and there was a feeling I had that I didn't know how to describe. And I think, later I came to understand it as shame, really. But I didn't know how to articulate my concern, because it had to do with how black men were presented. And it wasn't until much later that I could actually say, I didn't see one black male in that film that either represented any of the values that I was familiar with black men, or anything that I wanted to look up to. We got a few brothers in here. We got, I'm gonna turn on some names so we can actually there. But we got AB Media, we got Brother Ian, and we got Mr. Z. How y'all doing?
What's going on?
Hello.
Man, what's the word? Now you guys are all familiar with Hood Scholar, I'm pretty sure, from from other
never heard of him. Never heard of him.
Who is this guy?
And we got Ishmael in here. So any questions or observations you want to extend to Hood Scholar, feel free.
I guess I'll kick it off. What do you think about, and I kind of missed a little bit of the beginning, so excuse me if you kind of covered this earlier, but what do you guys think about what's going on the internet that's kind of inflaming some of this, what I call neo-Nazi language about black men, some of these content creators and social media, personalities, mainly on YouTube, that are creating, I guess, mini docs against black men. So like, what do you guys think about that,
Yeah, they're all a part of the media engine machine, right? So if you look at if you start in 2014, right? If you look at a lot of these blue checks, a lot of them got in the past 5 years. So what happened was, you got these black women, black feminists, who a lot of them had no background in this at all. They get linked up with the Black Lives Matter movement, or whatever. They come in and now, they know something, right? I mean, they know a little black feminism. They know the talking points. They're like, I can push these talking points,
right?
So then now it's almost like a black feminist anti-black male starter kit, right?
It is.
where they get a blue check on Twitter, they get a speaking deal. I'm sorry, they might get a book deal, they get speaking deals, and then they're everywhere all throughout the media, from social media to TV interviews to prime example, Feminista Jones.
Oh hell!
I looked the other night. She's on Black News Channel. What makes her expert about anything?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what it is. To answer your question, Mrs. Z, like they basically get this media is like a media package that they just hey, you believe these points? All right, let's go ahead. You can go ahead. We're gonna back you to push these points onto the masses.
Let me also welcome Brother Green Gorilla, G Serotonin. Looks like Charles went down, so if he comes back up, I'll bring him back in. But yeah, we're just gonna let it go. I'm not gonna kind of order this, so anything you want to ask our guest or contribute to the conversation. Stylist,
every year or so, it seems like it gets worse. The rhetoric, I guess that's all I wanted to say.
What do you think?
Yeah.
What do you think about the new movie Woman King coming out?
What is that? Which one is that about?
Oh, I've seen that. Yeah.
Woman King.
I can't recall her name. She played in Fences as Troy. Or
Viola Davis.
Huh?
Yeah.
Viola Davis, right?
Yeah, so she's representing the homie warriors
who
enslaved.
I have a lot of concerns about that.
Yeah,
so
King.
Let me tell you why, though, right? Let me tell you why I'm concerned about it. My concern is they're going to push a black feminist narrative, right?
Oh, without
and
question.
this black feminist narrative that they're going to push is actually antithetical to the actual kingdom, right? Because what that represents is the fact that Africa had both patriarchal and matriarchal societies.
Mm-hmm.
And so what they try to do, what black feminists have tried to do, is they literally tried to rewrite history. And so now patriarchy, in the sense that we understand it now, based on capitalism, colonialism, etc. Now they're trying to expand that into all of the world history. And so what my guess, I don't know if I'm right, but my guess, what they're going to do is say, look, these women fought patriarchy. Where in reality, no, that wasn't even African history. Like African history has always had both patriarchal and matriarchal societies. So I'm really concerned about it because I'm concerned that they're going to rewrite history to go against something that really disproves their very talking points and narratives.
Well, when you talk about Africa, understand that I think under Obama they had almost $1 million study trying to draw a line between terrorism and patriarchy in Kenya. It was an article the article got blown up and it got exposed because Trump was against it. The Trump administration was against this correlation between patriarchy and stable nuclear families headed by black men and terrorism in Kenya. But for whatever reason, the Trump administration was like, nah, we don't like this. But this is what they're doing. It seems like worldwide now is that they're trying to turn patriarchy into some kind of terrorist type of concept.
Right, and it never was.
Yeah, the hood scholar
here in the United States. What's up?
The hood scholar is really accurate in what he assesses that film to be about. It's Viola Davis is going to play an individual who is responsible for pushing back against the enslavement of African people within the Dahomey kingdom. So it totally goes against the reality of what existed and what took place in the kingdom of Dahomey. This movie is already taking legs in certain spaces, and you hear a lot of black women talking about this, but it is totally going to be a perversion of historical accuracy.
I I mean, let's not act like this is above them. I mean, don't forget we got the bigger long character in Harriet. I mean,
Right, that was crazy,
you
bro.
know.
But I want to.
That was crazy.
I
Oh
want
my
to. I want
God.
to.
She
Hold on.
looks like me unshaved.
Oh,
Oh my God.
now I want to make sure we get Green Gorilla in on this because
Okay.
I know he didn't. He's tied up in a bunch of different stuff, and I didn't think he planned to come through tonight. And I want to make sure we get to hear him while he's here. Gigi,
Yeah, what's up? Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can
hear you.
GG.
Yeah, man, I've been through this song and dance, man. It just takes a long time for some people to arrive at the point the hood scholar is at, especially when you've been inculcated with certain kinds of information in the academy. I mean, ultimately, what they tell you is that, you got the bourgeoisie with your men, you got the proletariat with your women, and it doesn't matter your class, your race, your creed, it doesn't matter anything. All that matters is if you got a scrotum and a penis or a vagina and a uterus. One group of people are the oppressed, the other group of people are the oppressors. And when it comes to black men, it's exacerbated because we all know, look, man, white women are not getting rid of white men, man. They ain't going nowhere.
Absolutely.
And white women know this. Like the weird thing about it is, man, somebody just tried to call me, my bad. But the weird thing about it is, bro, like, think about it. I went to a school in St. Louis where, man, I said I wasn't answering the phone. Damn. But anyway, so I went to school. Damn,
I think they just want to hear the Jeezy Green Gorilla.
But anyway, man, so basically, the woman who taught women in gender studies, man, like the head of the department, had a husband, man, who taught masculinist studies. Like, wow. I mean, so for you, these people are playing both sides against the middle and using this as a career opportunity and as a means by which to play politics at a level that I think is like 2 or 3 tiers above what black people think about. We look at the surface level of everything. They're playing chess. We're playing checkers with politics, man. These people are running and dancing circles around us. And we look like fools. This is psychological operations, man. And the fact that black women bought this so wholeheartedly either means that they're sellouts or they're dupes. You know what I mean? There's no better way to discuss this.
Both.
So my viewpoint on it is this. It's always been this. Both men and women can exhibit either virtue or vice. The fact that we've gotten off of this beaten path and we start talking about institutions when the very institutions that these people are actually accessing by means of the so-called patriarchy talk are institutions that are grounded upon colonialism and slavery, bruh. I don't see what people don't see about this. Like this whole culture is about, okay, well, white women saying we want to be able to have access to the resources that have always been available to men who basically they raped, pillaged, and plundered, man, and got what they got. They established institutions, whether they be corporations, whether they be, governmental institutions, whether it be a militaristic institution, it doesn't matter. Okay. The point is these guys, man, did a lot of dirt in order to set it up and establish it. And as soon as it came a point in time when people who were outgroup males were about to have access to it, here come the white women, man, banning entry. And they always want to, talk about how they need and want and desire access. But ultimately, they've already had access. This is a game. It's a con game. To me, it's gaslighting. These women act like they don't have access to European or white culture, man. Like they're far away from it and are not able to enjoy the trappings of it. This is what I mean. Like, come on, man. Like let's just wake up, man. And I can't, black women, in terms of black feminists, at first I was like, let's have a conversation, let's talk, just like Hood Scholar was saying. Like, why is it necessary for you to go write in a magazine whose readership is primarily white women? Why is it necessary for you to go do that when you can go right to us? You know where we are, you know our demographic, and you know where we exist, and you know what mediums we basically, consume. So why is it that you're going to these people? I'm telling you why they're going to them. They're going to them so that they can basically get resources for creating social death and incarceration for black men, man. That's what I view it. That's how I perceive this. Okay. If you look at Kimberly Crenshaw's first articles about intersectionality, they were basically talking about how black women are unseen and they are getting abused and subjected to all kinds of violence as well as white, the white women. Okay. And that they're prone to be ignored and looked over related to this kind of phenomenon. So ultimately, it's not accurate because we already know that there's a balance between the kind of viciousness that men and women both engage in. But but it is what it is right now. Like, I mean, I don't know how to undo 60 to 70 years of proselytization and basically miseducation of black people in the academy, because it's at the academy where all of this stuff is absorbed, and then it gets re-articulated within popular culture. I don't know how to even erase or wipe this out. I don't even see, like, this stuff is spreading around the world.
Yes, it is.
It's in Korea. It's in China. It's moving to Africa. These kind of concepts are moving everywhere. Okay, so the question is, like, how long will men sit back and listen to half the truth? Now, I'm not saying that like I hate black women or black feminists, but I'm just saying I hate lies. I do hate lies. I hate misrepresentations of the truth. I hate canards. I hate cap. These people need to start a lid store. They got too much cap.
Hysterical.
That's all they got is cap, bro. Straight up.
And let me just jump in real quick on that point, Green. Good to hear from you too, bro. We need to catch up.
For sure.
What you're saying is exactly what I was saying earlier. It's a trick of the enemy. We're calling out their BS. They're trying to make it seem like whenever we call out their BS, we are attacking black women. No. We are attacking the lies. We are attacking the tropes. We are attacking all these things that aren't true about black men that our life literally depend on, right? But let me say this though, Green. I'll just say this because I'm in family. I'm actually organizing, brother. I already got this article that I show y'all. Can black men die right? It's already being published in UK. I'm gonna get it published in London. I'm gonna get it published in Cuba. I'm gonna get it published in Nigeria. Next, I'm trying to go to Ghana. Already talked to somebody in Australia. I'm moving, bro. I'm moving.
Well, I'll write a hit piece for you too. But here's my thing about this though, bro. Like, everything that these women are charging us about in relation to like our behavior and the misogyny and so on and so forth, everything that they're saying we're doing, they're doing. But they're not just doing it, they're doing it for white people. Yeah. It's the strangest thing. Like, you can't attack black women. You can't attack black women. The hell I can't if you're attacking me. Well, I mean, if you're attacking me, what am I supposed to do? Fall on the sword and allow you to continue to hit me with rap after rap of blows? It makes no sense. This is not natural to make men sit and hear lies about themselves over decades. And then the only thing that keeps it in place is either men don't want to be embarrassed, or they've been browbeaten and guilt tripped into becoming what that one guy Chinwezu said in the book when he talks about the anatomy of female power. Like, a lot of men have become mushos, bro, or simps and simp enforcers, to the point where they can't think for themselves or think outside of the framework that they've been given by either popular culture or the academy. And it's a problem. Because initially, black folks did not think like this. It took decade after decade after decade after decade. And then the question is, like, white women, like, these, like, are you lapdogs to these people? Like, you know what Dessalines and them did to these people, man? Like, it doesn't matter if they was man, woman, or child. And I'm not trying to be disrespectful to women, but I'm just saying, like, the whole point is, look, if they're doing something wicked, it has to be called out, period. And these are the same people that spit on us. The same people, who basically had us lynched. Like, Me Too, when I think of Me Too, I think about it in reference to Emmett Till. You understand what I'm saying? I think about, what would black people say about today if they were transported from 50 to 60 years ago up to now? and the narratives that are being, promoted. They would be like, Mamie Till would probably be rolling around in her grave. Is probably rolling around in her grave now. You know what I'm saying? Like, come on. Like,
hold on. We got to give Hood Scholar a chance to respond because he's going to actually have to leave now. So I want.
My bad, man. I'm sorry, bro.
No. We can continue. I just want to make sure. And Mark Swift, appreciate that generous support. Go ahead, Hood Scholar, because I know you got to go, brother. Your last thoughts, reflections, maybe even responses to Gigi. Anything you want to say, man?
Yeah, y'all see I had to put back on the work uniform. I just want to say, shout out to you, T. Hasan. That's a dope name, T. Hasan. Shout out to you for having me on. I really appreciate you. Y'all keep supporting this brother. We need platforms like this, right? Somebody said for propaganda, we need anti-propaganda. So yeah. Also, look, spread the article. Maybe you know what? I'm trying to get Can Black Men Die Right published. Of course, it's hard because I'm telling the truth, and I'm calling out Black feminism, so they don't want that to get published. But so I think if I can't get it published in the U.S., of course I'm getting it published around the world. If I can spread that joint, but I close with this. On my own personal page, I did a live with one of my homies from the hood, and his girl was over there with him, and I let her see what Aisha, however you say her name, Callahan said about Black men. This was a Black woman. Of course, she's from the hood, but she was just like, what? And y'all can see her reaction. The thing is, look, y'all, the majority of Black people, we don't mess with this stuff, right? Once we get the brand, the way it's being pushed in the media and the soft can, but once we see the truth, like she literally laughed at it, right? My other homie, Cal, shout out to Cal, I don't know if he watching this, he was like, look at this goofball, right? Look, y'all, originally, these were the original Black feminists that come by, he was only 30 women, right? Like I said, Barbara Smith, they were clowning her. Look, y'all, these are some goofballs, right? And so if we can expose their goofiness, and not saying it just to clown them, but to say, and we can expose who they really are, the agenda that's really behind that, the most of our people ain't gonna rock with that. So that's what I want to close with. We got to expose the truth. If we get the truth out there, then hopefully we can get set free. Because if not, our lives literally depend on this, y'all. And that's what's pushing me to go forward, because as this propaganda machine continue to grow, and if they keep pushing Black men like this, then they'll just be able to kill us without impunity, right? They'll just be able to shoot us down. The concern is they might get to the point where police can just kill us. They're not even going to march anymore. They're not even going to care. They're just going to leave our body there and whatever, right? And I'm not trying to be grim. I'm not trying to.
No, you're right, because there's already sisters advocating for that now.
Yeah, I just got to tell the truth, y'all. So that's why I'm gonna work hard, y'all. Like, I'm gonna fight on this. I'm gonna keep fighting this, y'all. So appreciate you, T. Hasan. Those are my closing words. Keep fighting this Black feminist machine. And actually, let me close with this. Black men, these are lies, right? Y'all not Bruce. Y'all not Beast. Y'all not under this stuff. Y'all are dope. Y'all are smart. Y'all got skills. Y'all got talents. Y'all got emotions. Y'all got feelings. Y'all can do this joint, yo. Y'all got this.
Thank you.
Okay, now,
thank you.
Now, yo, I'm gonna call you tomorrow, man. I'm gonna get you some of these donations. So I'll give you a call probably after I get out of class tomorrow.
All right, bet.
Best to the family.
All right, y'all.
Peace out.
Peace, bro.
Thank you for the discussion.
All right,
Hey, Dr. T.
What's up?
What are your thoughts on them? I wanted to ask this while we're still here, but I know you got to go. What are your thoughts on them trying to redo the color purple?
Man, you know what? Actually,
Lord,
I was going to do a video on that this week. At the end of the day, man, they are celebrating the death of the Black male image, and it's being rehearsed. It's being taught to Eric. Appreciate that support. It's being rehearsed. It's being taught to a new generation. I mean, they are basically trying to do the 1980s all over again. They want another generation of women in particular, but even LGBT in this dynamic to contribute to it. And I bet money that they're going to embellish on the LGBT part of the story, because it was always there.
Yeah, my mother told me that because she read the book. She said that she had a lesbian affair.
No, it was always there, but in the 80s, they just kind of glossed over it in the movie. They didn't delve into it as deeply. They're probably going to double down on it a little more in this, because they really want to bring in that generation to further contribute to this narrative. So they're trying to light this bomb all over again. Really are.
So the man hate is real, good doctor. The man hate is real. It's sad, sad but true. It's a new form of penis envy, man. It's just that's what it basically is. It's a new form.
Already here. Like here's the point, bro. Like, these people are not going to stop pushing this propaganda until somebody stands up and says enough is enough. Like McCarthyism did not stop until people said, "Look, man, it's enough of this already."
Yeah,
it's time. But like, men don't say anything.
And now it's coming back, and people are not paying attention.
It's like the old saying, GG. For evil to persist, all good men have to do is absolutely nothing.
But it's going to take women to say something, like Elaine Brown. Like, I saw her clip earlier. Like, I mean, it's the idea that, like, all men, like all black men throughout the history of the United States and elsewhere, all they did was resign women to barefoot and pregnant status. Like, I mean, like, this is just absolutely ridiculous, man. Like, I mean, and like the question is, how far are we going to go with it? And the context of all of this, just keep this in mind. It started off with the right to vote. So everybody has the right to vote now. No more issues. Then it became about, being able to participate in the workforce. White women won that. I mean, they're the ones who are basically benefiting from the civil rights movement and affirmative action policies. They got that going. In cover. Okay. And black women are being able to, to shoehorn themselves, riding the wave of white feminism. But who's left in the dust? Yeah. You're the one left in the dust. It just is what it is. And it's not trying to be ignorant. And the only thing these people have to point at us is what? Sexual assault and abuse. That's the only thing they can really talk to us about. And they do it over and over and over again by connecting in or tying in to those same stereotypes and caricatures of black men that were created during slavery. It just is what it is. And black men are buying into it, bro. Like, you got so many guys who are like, well, you know what? I believe it. Like, we need to do better. Like, like Mike Rashid and Mark Lamont Hill and Mark Anthony
Lamoist Hill.
I mean, the academy is full of these guys. Or they think totally differently, but they dare say anything because they want to be able to keep their jobs. And the context of all of this is money and jobs, bro. Curry said this a long time ago, 7 years ago. Black feminisms are all about jobs and money, bro. That's what it's about. It's about jobs and money.
But what we're seeing now, though, we're seeing that extend off the college campus. When we look at everything we've talked about in the last 2 years, Goldman Sachs, MasterCard, Google, Visa, all these programs, these private companies, these NGOs that are setting up resources only for black women and girls, they are extending what we've been seeing in the academy out into the public.
The way I see it hurts black women in the. My apologies. I'll move out there in 1 second. It hurts the average black woman in the long run, because I truly believe that there are angry elite sisters, educated sisters on Green Gorilla and Dr. Hasan's level. Those are the ones that know what's going on. They're cold and calculated with it. But the average sister just mad that she got her little heart broken, right? And she'll go along with this to get back at her baby daddy, her ex-husband, or whatever, not truly understanding what she's actually signing up for. So the women on Dr. Hasan's level, they know what they're doing. But the average sister is just mad at some situation, or another. And I'll move out the way.
Yeah.
And a lot of times it's a situation they created. That's the part that's even funnier. You have a bunch of these delusional women who always want to point the finger at something, but yet you're the catalyst to your own destruction. You're the accomplice to the destruction of the community. For some odd reason, you want to say, well, these men aren't right. Y'all need to be good men. What is a good man? Is it a good man in service to you, or is it a good man in service to himself?
Nope.
And see, a lot of times self-preservation Every time, self-preservation is supposed to dictate above all.
Yep.
And you're not allowed to do it as a black man for certain reasons. Because once you start realizing that you're barefoot on coals in the middle of hell, you're going to get the hell out of it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I think, to the point of about whether or not, you have to go as a woman anyway, black woman, you have to go to the academy to know what's going on. Black women on all levels understand what's going on. Let's not gloss that over. They all know what's going on, whether they're in the academy or not. And I think, I was on Clubhouse the other day, and this chick was telling me that it's part of the natural evolution for black women to be in these corporate positions with these degrees. But at the same time, she's talking about how the patriarchy is destroying the world. But I'm like, you're in these corporations that are actually part of the destruction of the world. You're in the patriarchal system itself. So I'm like, how you talking out two sides of your neck? You're saying you're against patriarchy, but you're saying it's a natural evolution as a black woman to be a queen, on the throne next to the white man.
Ian,
Because
it's because they don't think that Laura Bush has blood on her hands. They think that if you stand to the side, if your husband or your boyfriend or your employer is out here slaughtering and killing and taking grandma's home because you're associated with that and you're helping along, you don't have blood on your hands because you're a woman. You get what I'm saying? A lot of people don't see it that way. A lot of women don't see it that way. They don't think that if you're the drug dealer's girlfriend, you got blood on your hands. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They want the they don't want what comes with it.
You're starting to bore.
It's Everglades wireless.
My whole thing is this: the radical feminist started off as an outgrowth to the 60s, like the civil rights movement, which was heavily socialist, even in some instances communist. So you had these radical feminists wanting to fight the power, like the hippie movement, wanting to fight back against corporations, wanting more inclusive education. Now it's all about corporate jobs, man. Like, how did it ever come to pass? And like, there have been many philosophers who basically, given warnings and talked about, certain omens, that you'll see when you buy into corporatism and, basically the whole neoliberal technological apparatus that we call Western culture at the current moment, man. It's like, okay, right now, what's more important than family life, even your own children, is some sort of job. That's why this BGS had me going on, ad nauseum to talk about Rousseau and what Rousseau actually contributed in relation to thinking about liberty and involvement in politics. But the overall picture that Rousseau comes up with is that, look, right now, this is about amor propre. Basically, people wanting status and wanting to be seen, like, who's got the newest Cadillac? This is keeping up with the Joneses, man. And you playing with black people's lives doing it, bro.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
This is ridiculous, bro. So you can have a job somewhere. You willing to actually, or you can have a house or a car or a Cadillac. I think Dr. Johnson refers to it as pig feet or extra blankets. Like all of that, man. You willing to put people's lives on the line so you can have some extra blankets or some trinkets or an iPhone or an iPad or a MacBook Pro. Like, is this what this is about, man? Or like a title somewhere where you get to talk and people get to look up to you? Like, is this what this is really about, man? Because at the end of the day, and I'm gone after this, bro. I'm sorry to even talk so long, man. But look,
no, keep going.
It's about people, man. People matter, man. Your corporate job, man, like people used to say, I don't want to work. I want to retire. These people are like not even tripping off that. They like, I want to have like my life be centered around my job, not centered around my family. I'm not working for my family. I'm working to gain attention and esteem and connectivity with other people in the workplace. And you know what the workplace is like, bruh. It's all cap, man. People are putting on a mask when they go to work, dog. Ain't nobody comfortable at the gig, bruh. It's all cap at the gig. You gotta act a certain way, and I'm impartial and objective.
Which is why people are quitting in droves. They're tired of it.
I'm done with it, bro. I'm gone, bro. Look, love to you, man. All y'all brothers, man. Like I know I haven't been here in a while. I'm doing some things right now. I'm trying to I'm disjointed, but I'm about to get back on, man. But
Very
love
good.
y'all, man.
Love
Keep
Hey,
it
you.
up,
GG.
man. Don't let these people shut us down, bro. Like we don't hate them. I don't hate these people. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, I ain't gonna say who I do hate, but the reality is, at some point, man, like these people got to be told. Like Bill Burr said, come here and get your talking to. We got to get some talking to with these people, bro. They need some
Look,
words, bro.
now look, let's make sure that we support Green Gorilla's channel. Do the same with Charles Faulkner's channel, AB Media, and we got to get Ian to start his channel.
Mr. Z's channel. Sorry, y'all.
Support him. No question. We gotta support Mr. Z's channel. I wasn't done. We got to support Mr. Z. At the end of the day, we have to do this because these conversations, if we don't have the people here to have them, they don't happen. We got to support the brothers that are here, that are ready to talk about this. But they need help. They need support. So please make sure y'all do.
Green Gorilla and Dr. Hasan, before Green Gorilla goes, you know what? If you can't be white, let's call a thing a thing. If you can't be white, then why not kill yourself and maybe your whole entire community to get the accoutrement of whiteness? Like you said, Green Gorilla, that Cadillac, that house in the burbs, right? Maybe even the white husband. Oops, right? So if you can't be Miss Ann, Karen, or Becky, then screw the black community and let it burn to hell because I want all the accoutrement of the white woman. I wasn't supposed to say that. Oops.
Well, this is the thing. This is why terminology is so important, and it's why some of us are creating concepts and terms to better understand our reality. I've been talking about colonizing agents over the last few months, and by that I'm referring to black women that have been socialized, that have been incentivized institutionally to act against the interests of their community and particularly black men. But when I talk about feminists, there's a term that I used several years ago on some of the articles I wrote on my blog. I call them black feminist nationalists. And the reason I use that term is there's a unique type of nationalism amongst black feminism that is primarily about the political and social advancement of black women only, as long as they adhere to a black feminist agenda, and with that are willing to sell black men down the river. There's a very distinct type of nationalism. I don't know. Somebody got to mute their mic if you're doing a lot of moving around on it. That might be Charles. Yeah. But anyway, yeah. So there's a very distinct type of nationalism at play right now, and we're seeing it. I mean, it's Borg. It's moving like the Borg, really. But at the end of the day, we got to call it out and confront it. We got to call it out and confront it. So,
amen to that.
Yeah. Any other reflections, observations, anything anybody wants to drop in here?
I think
go ahead.
I think though too, you know what we're dealing with, you know, especially like you gave the video about the 7 boys that came out of the river, you know, before Emmett Till.
Yeah.
I think it's just a total negation of black male existence, you know, at this point. And I think, you know, to the nationalist point, you know, we have been excommunicated from the black community. So the question is, are we going to fight to be black, or are we going to fight to be men? You know, and I think that becomes the major question.
Well,
I guess this
and a fight is definitely necessary because black women have clearly othered themselves. They have othered themselves. They're continuing to work on solidifying that othering, and they're being supported, you know, by corporate entities, by politicians, so on and so forth. So to Gigi's point, when do we as black men decide what course we're going to chart? I'm currently working on a postgraduate degree right now, and every time I go to class, I feel like I'm in a landfill. I have to tiptoe. I have to step around. Yeah. And some of the things that are coming from the mouths of some of these black women, 20, early 30s at the most, it's frightening, bro.
Yes.
It's frightening.
Oh, yes.
That's black feminist nationalism I'm talking about. You hear it.
It is woven into the fabric, into their psyche. And honestly, like, we have no value. We have, in their eyes, black men, And to an extent, black boys, most of that are coming from them, there's qualifications to the value that black boys have. There are caveats when it comes to discussing the lives and the success and the prospering of black boys. But black men, no.
Well, no. You might have a chance.
We have no value in the eyes of many black women.
You might have a chance of being valued if you're related to the person in question. If you're a son, a brother, you might have a chance. But
even that's conditional, I think.
And that's what I was going to say.
Johnson, I think that's conditional.
That's one of the things I talked about the other night. I was saying at the end of the day, I know women who are white collar with sons, and they will still go lobby the corporation they work in to fund money strictly for programs for girls. And they got sons at home. Some of these women don't even have daughters, and they'll still push programs just for girls or women.
They're so short-sighted.
That's what I was going to go to, Charles. Go ahead.
They're so short-sighted they can't see the trees instead of capturing the whole forest in itself. And this is a project that I'm working on. Like, I'm trying to bring the Great Faulkner Initiative to fruition. I teamed up with a couple of people, especially an Army buddy of mine who went over to the war with me. I've always been asked this question. Why do we have so many young black men on the street? Well, one, because you're afraid to train them. You're afraid to teach them. You're just pretty much afraid of them. What if I taught them how to be medics and paramedics? What if I taught them to do executive protection and sent them overseas? They would automatically be making six figures. You would literally change the scope of the black community overnight. And that's with just what? Roughly 6 months of training. But yet, the little things, as we used to say in the QRF, it's the little things that get you killed. It's the little things that stifle your growth. It's the little things that people do. And I'm glad you mentioned that about how there are so many women out there who are dead set on the destruction of the black male, so much so that they will sell their sons for 30 pieces of silver.
Just as long as he's in service, just as long as he's of service to the matriarchy, he's good to go.
I don't know if any of y'all seen this tweet, maybe a year ago now, where a sister said, and I hesitate to call her sister, but what happened to the days where men would die and leave you their life insurance money or something along those lines, right? Like that, yeah, that's the level. Like, and and going to where Charles was speaking to earlier, this doesn't even work for the masses of black women at the end of the day. Like, the masses of them are like the sisters y'all see crying on Instagram right now because they don't got no dude. But like, this doesn't even work for the masses. Like, it's a handful of, elite and educated and maybe well-connected black women that are actually benefiting from these type of policies and ideologies. But the mass and maybe some of the LGBTQ sisters. But outside of that, most black women are not benefiting no way, shape, or form from this type of worldview of black men. Actually, as a matter of fact, it is their sons and their husbands and their boyfriends and their baby daddies and their fathers that are actually being the ones that are being impacted by this. This is not, we're not talking about the sisters that, do their hardest, work their hardest to get away from black men. Those women are already gone, right? The ones that marry out or engage in same-sex relationships or whatever. We're talking about the average black woman, and she's actually kind of losing with this type of rhetoric, to be honest.
Well, that's because she's not vocal. They need to be more vocal. What I don't see is that majority being more vocal and actually pushing back against the loud minority.
That's true.
Which forces you to ask, to what extent do they disagree with the type of rampant, blatant misandry that we're seeing?
Exactly.
Because if you look, when you see that Elaine Brown post, one of the things that I saw hit so many men in the comment section as they were watching it is she was unapologetic in her critique of feminism. She didn't flinch. She didn't blink. She said what she had to say, and she stood on it like a rock. And I saw men in there. One brother said, "I wish I could hug her right now." It literally resonated with you because of how strong a stance she took. We don't hear that kind of strong stance being taken very often. Even in social media, we don't see it enough. So it
Mm-hmm.
leads you to a conclusion that, well, if these are just these rogue extremists in the corner talking a lot of mess and getting access, and that is happening, then where is the pushback from the majority? And that's where the Black feminist nationalism I talk about comes into play, because they are conditioned to participate in something that is ultimately separating the community, and they don't even see it as such. They don't see a connection between, as you pointed out earlier, I think it was Mr. Z, they don't have relationships, but at the same time
Mm-hmm.
they want one, and don't see the connection between their behavior, their rhetoric,
Yep.
why nobody wants to engage them. They do not see
Yep.
Dr. T, I was on a
Mhm.
live stream the other day with BGS, and I asked this one question that even the women said, you know what, we're gonna shut the hell up about that. We can't debate you anymore. You won. I said, give us one, give us five, and I went down to one. One reason would it would benefit to marry you.
Mm.
Can we trust you in today's time? Can we trust you to even raise our sons and daughters properly? Can you do it? Or are you going to use that child as another weapon against us? Are you going to go out there and when you get mad and tell the whole world how much, excuse my language, ain't shit that we are? Or you going to tell the world he's still Superman, whether if he's on his knees or on his feet? And I said, give us one reason we should do all that stuff. We should go out there and face the beast of the world, give our lives up to you. What do we benefit?
Mm-hmm.
And she said, and the women said, not a damn thing. I'm sorry, we can't debate that.
I focus a lot on our intimate relationships between men and women because I think a lot of this rhetoric, and going to which the question you asked, Dr. Hassan, the much of the reason why this is kind of greenlit and agreed with in silence is
Mm.
because a sister, and I was saying this earlier, they get their heart broken or they're in a relationship that fails, as they do, and then yeah, I may not hate these men, I may not have the vitriol of some of these content creators or some of these academics, but my baby daddy ain't ish, right? And
Mm-hmm.
that type of feeling, because I think we play it down a lot, and I think even in academia, if someone like you were to bring this up, they would try to like shut it down, like it ain't that serious. No, it is that serious.
It is
The
that.
reason why you and I'll give y'all an example. From my understanding, what's Gail? Gail's ex-husband cheated on her. I think she walked in on him, right?
Mm.
Now she's been,
Talking about surprise. Go
dealing with
ahead.
that. She's been dealing with that for 30 years or some odd. I don't think she ever married after the fact or anything. Now, when you
Mm-hmm.
see her interview with Lisa Leslie, now you kind of get it, right? So I'm using that for people to extrapolate. Like that's a lot of what we see going on, and I think we play it down a bit too much, maybe on your level, on down here closer to the ground, right? We understand a lot of that, but in academia, a lot of educated and well-connected sisters like to pretend like the reason they're doing what they're doing has nothing to do with their intimate relationships with their fathers and their brothers and their ex-husbands and whatnot, and it does, and we can see it in certain moments of honesty where they'll
Mm-hmm.
kind of let something slip and you're like, oh, that's where it stems from.
Mm-hmm.
All of this is because of that one quote unquote ain't ish dude. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll pause right there.
It just builds up a story. And
Yeah.
that same live stream, I just asked a question. Let's just be frank. It's either you're bad picker of men or you purposely choose these men that ain't sugar honey iced tea. Because I'm pretty sure there's plenty of guys out there, and it doesn't have to be just the guys from academia. It could be the blue collar world. It could be the, I guess,
Sacrilege.
the light blue world, the mixture of white and blue. There's so many men who are doing the damn thing out there that you actually have the pick of the litter in some organizations, like the police department. You got 88% of men to pick from who with the average makes about 70 to 85,000 dollars a year. You can't pick from that. You know what a lot of these women will pick from? Dudes that are way lesser than them on the totem pole.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a control gesture.
It's control. Yeah, and it speaks to self-perception, how they view themselves. There's a lot of women roaming around with low self-esteem. They'll never admit it, but low self-esteem.
You know what
Very
I
low
think it is.
self-esteem.
What I think it is that these women are so proud. It's almost like it's like being so proud that you eat your own shit, you know, and it's like whatever it's like
It's come
whatever
to
they
that point.
whatever they produce, they think is gold, and these men that they don't find desirable, they're the ones that are producing these men. They're the ones that are raising these men. They're grooming these men, the same ones that they don't want, but they still choose them because they're theirs. But that's an ego. That's their ego in play, because they understand, you know, I'm the queen mother of the universe, goddess of the universe, and I create life. So in their mind, you know, if they created it, even though it's shit, it's good enough.
Well, what about the power dynamic, right? So throughout time, and maybe more recent history, we've spoken about women as if they're innately and automatically more moral than their male counterparts, and they don't necessarily seek power. This is kind of the weird backwards way of gaining power through intersectionality, right? It's like, well, because we've gone through so much more, and because we're not just black, we're women, and we might be LGBTQ. We don't necessarily seek power, we seek fairness and equality, which is like contrary to, like, I don't know, all of human history. So what ends up happening is that, at least for me, the way I see it is black women in specific get to engage in a power play while making it seem as if they're really trying to even the odds, and you know, they stand on a moral pedestal above everyone else, including black men. Black men's goal is to be white men. Black women's goal is to bring about fairness and equality in the system, and which we can see oftentimes. Especially, this is why I love the internet. When you give them a camera and they're honest in their moments of honesty, the way they belittle and insult us is by comparing us to white men and essentially saying we're not putting them in the position to be white women, right? And so, like, that to me is very telling. So they don't have the vocabulary and the language and the gravitas that maybe women in academia have, where they can maneuver and make it seem like it's something outside of that. The women closer to the ground are just so much more vocal and adamant about, yeah, you don't deserve respect. You don't deserve even your title of a man, because you haven't put me in the position of Becky, Miss Ann, or Karen. And I just find that fascinating.
That's a fact.
But what I'm saying goes, basically encompasses that. What I'm saying is that if she thinks that she's queen of the universe, God mother, what I'm saying is all of that, you know, is some aspect. But overall, it's the fact they already feel that they're in a position. They're not mad at us because we're not putting them in a position. They already feel that they're in a position. You know what I'm saying? They already see themselves in a position. And in that position, what they produce, even if it's shit, they find it valuable, just because their ego won't allow them to see to actually give a proper value to what they're creating. You know what I'm saying?
Wow. Y'all are killing it.
I get it. I just, like I said, I just don't think, and I hear what you're saying, Ian. I truly understand it. But from my conversations and having, you know, a younger and older sister, mom, and everything, aunts and whatever, even college educated sisters, you're right, on the edges, they somewhat get it. But trust me, bro, like they really don't understand kind of what Dr. Hasan and Green Gorilla and, you know, just brothers in this space, BG, they don't know it's that level. If we when we show them things, or when we talk to them about this, they're like, oh my, you kind of see it. You see it in them, like, oh, I didn't know it was like that bad. They truly don't think there's this like organized, you know, group of women that's like going to Goldman for these type of things, going to academia speaking about it's crazy to get those positions, to become professors, right? They don't really, like Green Gorilla and Dr. Hasan was speaking about, they don't think academia is that cold and calculated and rigid when it comes to these type of things.
And
Well,
they don't,
I mean,
they don't
outside of
understand their own participation in that as well. And the other thing I'd add to that is when they come into these spaces, like literally just clicking on this video and hearing you guys for the first time, they're like, "What the hell language is this? We don't even understand what this is." But they don't, because they severely underestimate Black men's analysis of what's happening and our response to it.
I
They
agree.
severely underestimate it. They don't realize how much black men have been talking about this, thinking about this for decades, but especially in the last decade, really starting to compare notes with each other.
well, you know,
That's because they
shame.
live a different reality, man. Dr. Johnson, I caught your show, and black women don't. Their worldview is a lot different than ours. The way that white supremacy, racism, and these things impact them and affect them, it's different, and it has been different from quite some time. So the way that we articulate, our lives, the phenomenon that exists in our lives, they're not going to understand it because they're receiving something different, which shapes their perspective. And I didn't realize this until I was with an ex, and an ex of mine, we would just get into these debates, and I literally found myself saying, like, why don't you see it? And it wasn't only until after we broke up, right, that I understood her from her positionality and how her experiences in that position shaped her view. We were totally mismatched. She was very corporate, top 10 school. I'm college educated as well, but most of my work has really just kind of been direct service on the ground. It involves community organizing and activism and that type of thing. We have two different experiences.
Yeah.
I think to that point though, you and Dr. Hasan, I think what we're missing, and even to Mr. Z, what we're missing is that when we're saying that they don't know, right? So basically, we're not giving enough credit to Black women that they are to some degree white supremacists. So how does white supremacy work? White supremacy doesn't have to acknowledge anything, right? White supremacy just has to believe that it's superior, right? You can have a Black male. You can have a Black person who is a brain surgeon, scientist, or whatever, and they could be living in a trailer park, but because they are indoctrinated with this supremacy, right? They don't have to know anything. They can still operate from a position of power just based on the belief that they're better than you. So it's not necessary, and they're not looking to be educated. They don't give a damn about that. They only know from generation to generation they have ruled, and that's all they need to know.
I've said it once and I'll say it again. Black girl magic only persists due to forced black male mediocrity, white boy interference, and white girl subterfuge.
But by the way, Ian, none of what I say means that I absolve them of anything. I truly believe that you are to be held accountable for what you choose to believe in. The Originator report gave me that, and I truly believe that. That's just real. Right? So it's one of those situations where you go into court and the judge tell you, yeah, ignorance of the law doesn't mean you don't have to obey it, right? So even with me saying these things, that doesn't mean that them participating even lightweight in some of this rhetoric and this push means that I absolve the average sister of how she engages with this type of misandric or misandrist way of viewing black men. I don't want to absolve them of that, even though I think they don't fully comprehend what they're doing.
I'd even take that
that's
to.
what I'm saying, Mr. Z. I don't think they're ever going to comprehend it. I don't think that you can textbook conversation with them our way out of this. Is what I'm saying.
I agree with that.
We're going to have to get into our family structures to fix this.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. That's why I call it a particular form of nationalism. I'm not talking about black nationalism. I'm saying they've developed their own because they work in their own interest to the detriment of the entire community in that
respect. I was about to say everybody else, not even just black women too.
It's so
Mm-hmm.
narrow-minded because when I was on that same live stream, this one lady had to say, "Well, who made the laws?" I said, "Damn all that. Who utilizes them?"
Mm-hmm.
I said,
Mm-hmm.
but she couldn't. I said, "No, I don't give a damn what the laws on the books. You're talking to a guy who enforced the law for years.
Mm-hmm.
There's certain
Facts.
laws I'm
Facts.
going to enforce, and certain ones I'm not going to put an interest in a big particular interest in. When
Mm-hmm.
you know, just like they said, well, you got the same rights in the court. What court? The
Yeah.
court of public opinion?
Right.
Like, how many fathers out there going catching hell as soon as they go to the courts? And they like, well, that's only for the bitter baby mamas. Guess what happened in the 90s when they did welfare reform? They put their bitter asses in either the city hall or the courthouse.
Mm-hmm.
I said you gotta live in reality because too many people out there have got away with Scott murder, figuratively and literally,
Yeah.
off of just this so-called I didn't know. Let's blame somebody else. How the hell am I gonna blame a white guy but you taking me down? You're the one who called the police against me. You're the
Right.
one taking my kids away from me. I said, think about this. You really think the system's fair? I know one guy paying over $1,000 for one child. I know a father who has custody of all three of his kids, and he's only getting $200 to $400 a month. Make that make sense if you want to live in this equal world.
Mm-hmm.
But do you truly? Let's think about how femininity has been kind of marketed over the past 200, 300 years. Do you really want to give up some of those feminine benefits for equality? Who wants that? What woman truly wants equality? If we're going to be honest, a heterosexual woman at least. Which one of them truly want equality? It's special and equal simultaneously, or I get to put it on a scale and I get equality when I want it and need it, and privilege and special treatment when I want it and need it. As a matter of fact, I don't even think that's specifically a woman thing. I truly believe that most people don't actually want equality, right? But especially not women. Not when you and your sister when your sister sees the difference in how the world treats you as a black man and how it treats her. If she's aware, she does not want equality. She does not want that treatment. Women do not want the same prison sentence as Professor Hasan was speaking about earlier. They don't want that. They don't want the harshness that we're faced with when they do know what it's like. Nobody wants that, right? So they're not looking for equality. No.
Oh boy. I just checked Twitter. Guess who's getting Me Too now? Snoop Dogg.
Oh wow!
I just sent it to you, Dr. T. I was like,
I'm looking at it right now. Rapper calls it a shakedown.
I bet it is.
I knew they wasn't gonna let him get away with that Gayle King comment that easy. I knew it. I knew they wasn't gonna let him skate with that.
Wow. Hold on, I'm gonna put it up. And we are gonna have to close out soon, but I definitely want to get you guys to comment before we bounce. Hold on, I'll put it up on the screen. Yeah, and he just I read somewhere else he just bought Death Row.
Oh, because I think the lady that had it before bought it for $24 million, which is a travesty. To have all of Pac's music and Snoop's music from the 90s, that period, for 20. Yeah, that's a travesty.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, we might have to find out what's going on. And you see,
where's Martha Stewart when you need her?
I mean, really, it's a shake. You know what's funny? And I said this in the department long ago. And I said this to a female officer. I said, y'all women have priced yourselves out of the game. And she's like, what you mean?
Stealing my shit, Charles.
I said, I was saying this shit when it was still food, man. But I told it. I said, look, you're gonna be 40 in a few months. Unmarried, making money. Now she's a sergeant. which means it's going to be even harder for you to find a husband because you're in a different bracket now. So, what do you have to show except your loneliness? You bought a house, single family home with no family, which is amazing. And what do you have to show? Look at your whole girl. She just bought a house. And apparently she bought a dog.
Well, and you know what goes with that, because people like to reduce it to, and I'm saying this especially feminists, they like to reduce it to money, and they like to say men are intimidated by women that have money. That's not what it is. What
No.
it has to do with is the perspective that feminists in particular tend to have, especially if they have more resources than the man they're with. And what you end up having is a serious emasculation that jumps off on a regular basis. And this is one of the things that I think men are really dodging. They're like, I don't even want to deal with that. I want to come into a situation. And we talk about this all the time with men that choose to live with women and then get cussed out. I even showed a few videos in the last month on what happens in those situations. And emasculation, control, dismissal, all of those things tend to come with it. And men are just like, it's not worth it.
Well, Dr. Hasan, what we've seen, and this is the beauty of the internet once again over the past couple years, is women themselves telling you straight up, like verbatim, I'm about to say what she said. Yeah, if I make more than you, I will mistreat you. Like a sister straight up on camera, her face showing, said that. And it's not even like she was kind of goaded into saying that. She said that like just regular conversation. If I make more than you, I will mistreat you.
And these are five saying this. These are fours.
No, this sister was kind of cute when she said it, but no, so yeah, and so like I'm saying that to say like fighting against that kind of feminist narrative of men are intimidated. No, what's beautiful about this modern era and people kind of doing anything for clout is that people are straight up telling you, and women in particular, if I don't, first of all, I don't want a man I make more money than and I have more status or education than. And if I am in a relationship with that person, all this moral high grounding of, women in these certain positions will not mistreat men. Yeah, I will, because I'm in the power position, right? And the beauty of this era is that women are just straight up saying it, especially black women, straight up saying it. Yeah, if I'm in the power position, I will mistreat you. I mean,
at least they're honest.
The thing is, they're going to mistreat you even before they get the power. So it's like, yo, chick, if you was mistreating me when you didn't have nothing, come on, man. What do you think I'm going to expect when you get some real power over me?
Okay, bye. Thanks for telling me. Bye. Next.
Yeah, no, I agree. I just think this is we just have to be honest of the time we live in, right? So I'm all for equality. I'm all for fairness. I'm all for everything that's coming. But I think, like I said earlier, I think what ends up happening is people want special and equal simultaneously. Women, namely, and like they're struggling with how fast this change has happened. We're talking about a movement, that might be a couple centuries old, but really exploded mid 60s and up. Just skyrocketed mid 60s and up.
I'm gonna say this, man.
Go ahead.
I'm just gonna say this, man.
Yeah.
See, this is what happens when black men are not brought up in military science. Our militarism and our militant ways have gone to the way of the supportive male. When you understand military science, you understand your enemy and you treat them accordingly. There's nothing, you do not treat that person anything but somebody who has nothing but utter contempt for you. So when you look at these things and you look who's all around you and you notice there's enemies surrounding you, you don't go out there and say, hey, that person right there, even though they cut off my arm, they handed me a bandage, they're friendly. No, they're not. And this is what black men have been for the last how many years, Doc? So when we look at this situation, black men are gonna have to circle the wagons and fight their way out of it.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to be ruthless. You may not. Sometimes you're gonna have to lead people and be like, look, I got to do what's best for me. I got to do what's best for business. And if you're not about making dollars, then you obviously ain't got the damn sense.
Yeah.
Facts. Facts, I like, I just, the like I said, the power dynamic right now, what has transpired mainly over the past 50, 60 years, I think men and women are kind of struggling with this, especially when you throw technology in the mix. Women, namely, and quite frankly, they want their cake and eat it too, and that's just not the world they're living in, and will not be, arguably not living in for the foreseeable future. And you see the schism, the schism that's going on within them, within the individual woman, not women writ large. Individual women are being ripped to shreds, right? So we can just imagine what, the women as a group, and then the larger Black community and whatnot. They just don't know how to deal with this, but they're destroying men in the process, by the way. Boys and men. We see it in their intimate relationships. We see that in academia. We see that across the board. And yeah.
I say let them,
fellas. Finish up, Charles. Go ahead.
I said let them, so we can see who the enemy truly is. But go ahead,
I
Doc.
agree. Thanks for having me up, Doc.
Hey, I just wanted to thank you guys for listening, for coming in, chiming in. I know you guys all got busy schedules, all of that. It's much appreciated. Charles, we briefly touched base last week. I told you if you need me, let me know when, man.
Okay, I'll try to do something with you this. Let me see. I get out of school Friday at 1. So if you're free on Friday or Saturday, just let me know, and I'll probably have if anybody wants to come to the late night after show with me tonight, I'll have a live stream running.
Well, look, much appreciated. Y'all have a good night. Thanks for coming.
Hey, hold up, Dr. Johnson. I want to say this. You know what touched me. I didn't know, because I tell my story, and then BGS mentioned this in one of his videos. He said Ian Williams. He meant to say Ian Graves, but when I was doing my work with ADOS, when the women accused me of wanting to physically harm them just for my pushback against their feminism, and now you and Hood Scholar said this is the exact same thing happened to you guys for your pushback against feminism. They accused you guys of being physically threatening. And I'm like, wow. So damn, I feel better, but I don't feel better that it happened to you too.
Well, this is part of what we talk about, and this is why I use the term colonizing agents for Black women as a whole that are socialized into this. They were using the institution against us as punishment, even though that punishment could have ended our careers.
Yeah.
I hope that Hood Scholar can find a position again, but it's possible that what happened with him may have ended his teaching career as we know it. So whether you're talking about a false rape accusation, whether you're talking about going to family court and accusing the father of touching one of the children just so you can get custody, when you're talking about students trying to get rid of a professor that said something they don't like, they're using institutions in such problematic ways that it promotes severe distrust. It's one thing to have an argument. It's a whole nother thing to call the cops and make up and fabricate an issue. This is the level we're talking about. This is why colonizing agents is one, because they're agents that are using colonial structures to control or punish men, Black men in particular, and boys. I've seen some of these mothers call police on their sons.
Yes.
So that being said, we really have to be able to kind of question, how do we look at somebody that's willing?
And Dr. Hasan,
institutions against us. Yes.
Don't forget how sometimes when they call those cops on their sons, don't forget how that ends sometimes also. You call the cops to punish your child, and now your child is no longer alive, and that's on you. Literally. And I'll drop now. Thank you once again for having me up. This conversation could go on forever. This was great. Thank you very much.
Hey man,
thanks for having me, Dr. T.
Hey man, thank you.
Likewise, I appreciate it. Thank you for having me up.
Appreciate you coming in, man. Thank you,
Dr. Hasan. Hey, appreciate you, bro.
Hey man, I'm gonna lean on you till I see it happen. We need that show, man. We need that show.
Okay. Okay, got it. I got it.
But nah, man. But
got
thanks for coming up tonight, though. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, man. Peace.
All right, good night.
All right, so just to let you guys know, I did put all of the article links that were discussed in the show tonight, except for I don't think I did the Snoop Dogg one, because all that was a little image. I don't have an article, but all of those links are available in the program description. If you scroll down a little bit and look under sources, all the articles we discussed are there. Please contribute to the chat, comment, let us know what you're thinking about these things, because we got to get this conversation going. And we really have to, push to another level to really make sense of our situation, particularly as men, because the next generation has an opportunity to get something from us that many of us were not able to get from our fathers and grandfathers because they weren't able to compare notes the way Black men are able to do so now. So anyway, much appreciation for the support for the show tonight. You guys have a good evening, and I look forward to talking to y'all soon. Peace from the Onyx Report. I am here to tell you, brothers, we are not criminals by birth, perennial rapists, incapable intellects, man-children, sperm donors, child support wellsprings, success objects, walking phalluses, ATM machines, lottery tickets, unintelligent henchmen, valueless assassins, pro bono mercenaries, unpaid bodyguards, interchangeable stepfathers, child discipline proxies, unpaid repairmen, workhorses, emotional tampons, or any other socially accepted dehumanizing stereotype. We are thinkers, inventors, innovators, leaders, fathers, and men. Embrace your humanity, know your worth, and extend your time, attention, and resources only to those who genuinely respect you. And remember, your worth is not defined by meeting other people's narcissistic and selfish and unrealistic needs. You define your worth. Peace. Yes.